for him. Think about all of the political capital they've gained by showing Lincoln Riley. If he can show where he's kicked out some pedos or some burglars, I mean, there is enough of them to make a good case. I mean, there's got to be a few thousand of them that are incarcerated or have criminal records. If you can show you're getting those out, which not a lot of Americans are going to fight on behalf, huh?
Or even just DUIs or anything. Any of them that they have that has been arrested.
Right.
You're probably talking, 500,000 or so, I would imagine, over the years.
Yeah. So you don't need to go and kick out grandma. If you can keep parading all the ones that have major crimes, or as you say, DUIs and all that on TV, it looks like you're getting the job done. So I think Trump will easily score a victory there.
Yep, I agree.
But before I move it on from you, Matt Gaetz stepping down. What say you?
I don't think he was the right candidate either. I think he had too much baggage and stuff. I don't think he was the right choice.
All right. Well, join the club.
That's my opinion.
Fair enough, and he is gone now. So shout out to you. I got to move it on, Tony. But is this our first time talking?
No, I think it's the second.
Cool. Appreciate you coming through, man. Always open to you. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good day.
And thanks for warning me. Let me know about that. The settings. I did change that.
Yes, sir.
All right. I want to respond to a couple super chats. Protect the peculiar mobile RV. You said protect the peculiar institution voluntarily. I need to get you on live to hear what you're talking about. Protect the peculiar institution voluntary slavery. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you okay with the app, immigrants, etc.? The app he's asking about is Biden has created an app to make it easier for immigrants that are in this country on an undocumented or illegal status to check in. That say they do want to plead for asylum or they want to move their case along. They don't have to come show up somewhere in a government office or something. So I'm until I see some real bad coming out of it, yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because of if an immigrant is really here to commit crimes or do something against this country, they're not going to use the app. The ones who are using the app, trying to keep in mind, we say we want people to do things the legal way. They're doing it the legal way. If they use the app, I mean, he's making it easier for them to do things the legal way, but they are following the law. The people who are here to commit crimes ain't gonna go on that damn app. They don't want to be located even for a minute. So as my last caller pointed out, using IP addresses and things like that, it will at least tell you where they were at one point. Maybe they go and, use the app and then they get the hell out of Dodge, but it will tell you they were in Dodge for a minute. People who are here to harm the country ain't gonna use that damn app. So I'm okay with it until I hear otherwise. Black people's ignorance profits the prison system, says Mobile RV. I don't totally disagree with that. I know how the statement sounds. Some might have an issue with it, but I do believe being ignorant to the pitfalls and the hurdles of the criminal justice system increases the likelihood you will fall victim to those pitfalls and hurdles, such as folks suggesting that they infiltrated the minority neighborhoods with drugs like crack cocaine and then came through and swept everybody up and arrested them all. Different topic, but I don't disagree with that. Bandito805 says, I'm looking forward to seeing the mass deportations. LOL. Mexican president just had a press conference stating she will only be allowing Mexican women and men back. She will not take any Central Americanos. So other folks from other countries, probably going to create some type of friction between America and Mexico. I'm in the middle. Before I go back to the next caller, I'll just say this. Mexico doesn't have a lot of credibility in this, in my opinion, when you let these folks use your country as a thoroughfare. A lot of the folks that have come to America, good and bad, folks who came here simply to work and better their lives, or people who came here to commit crimes, a lot of them walked right through Mexico unchecked. Mexico did not secure its border because they knew the folks were not going to stay in Mexico. So I don't know if Mexico has complete credibility in this because they didn't look out for their ally being us. I mean, you could help us out by not letting these folks use your country to walk through. Mobile RV says gladly Google Lord Mobile RV. I'll do a live call. I need to be at the studio for that. Damn, I didn't know you were gonna come so hard like that. I want to know what you got going on now. I really do want to know. It's easier to get asylum than it is for people to get government assistance that need it. Yeah, but I don't disagree with that. It is easy. It is easier probably to get asylum because but that's going to change now that Trump is coming in there. I think it's going to be almost impossible to get that shit now that Trump is president. Going back to the box, Live Free or Die Trying. I believe that's an album by 50 Cent. Good evening, Live Free.
How you doing, handsome?
Hey, hanging around like Jesse Jackson at a Klan meeting. So, Live Free or Die Trying. You would happen to be from New Hampshire, would you?
No, sir. I'm from Oklahoma.
Okay, fair enough. We Live Free and you're from Oklahoma, the state that's requiring children to read from the Bible in schools. Is that living free?
I'd rather have them reading from the Bible versus reading the transitioning as a child is a good thing. There's a lot of confliction going on about that. I think that I'm not trying to shove our religion down people's throat. They can attend or not attend. I don't think it's going to be something you have to pass your grade.
What is it? What are they doing?
Pardon me?
What are they doing with Christianity in your state in schools? Do you know what the law is specifically? What are they trying to do?
I don't know, handsome. This is all very new to me, and plus I don't have a child, young enough to be in school, so okay. I really don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have a child trying to transition to another sex, but from what I heard, they are requiring children in your state, all public children, somehow, some way, they're going to get the Bible in them. I don't know exactly the specifics, but they are studying lessons from the Bible.
Well, I mean, I can honestly say that, the Bible isn't going to, change people to bad people. You know what I'm saying, handsome? It's got to be a good step. If you want your own religion, yes, I think everybody should have the opportunity to, practice their own religion. And I understand.
Yeah, but if your child is,
I'm not a big fan of it. But the reason that I supported Ryan Walters is just because he was going to keep the boys out of girls' sports and out of their locker rooms and out of their bathrooms.
Well, I'm fine with the notion of keeping boys out of girls' restrooms and sports, but some may say also keep Jesus out of my child. Some folks, everybody's not a Christian either. Just like everybody don't support the transgender community, everybody don't support Christianity. You want to make sure a child is of age before they make sexual change decisions. Well, deciding what God they want to worship on might be something they should be allowed to wait till they're an adult also.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't want to come up here and debate on the Bibles and the schools.
What brought you on? Let's get into what you got.
Well, what brought me on here, liberal, is the simple fact that right now we got our missiles going into Russia. I think that I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it's going to be weird for us to follow somebody. We all know that Joe Biden's in a decline, right? We all know this.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. No fault on that guy. We're all going to get there one day. But I just can't believe that as a nation that we're going to follow this man maybe into World War III.
It's interesting you say that. I will tell you this though, based on what I've seen, and I'm watching Fox yesterday and some of the Senate hearings and some of the testimony. He's not doing this unilaterally, and it's not just liberals. There's a lot of folks on the right in Washington at the national level that actually favor what he's doing and believe we should help the Ukraine.
Well, I think that, helping Ukraine is one thing, but dying on the hill is another. I do not want to send our military in to have a conflict with Russia. I think that there's, and I don't even know the full details of it, handsome. I don't know, I do know that NATO was created to keep the Soviet Union from expanding their land, correct?
Right.
It was to keep Russia from expanding their land. And they made a treaty back, 2000, I don't know, it was a while back to where they said that NATO is not going to approach or move any closer to Russia. Well, we've done it. They've done it 7 times. Now they're trying to make Ukraine part of Russia. And if you go back and look at when Russia attacked, that was when Kamala Harris went to Ukraine and was encouraging them to join NATO. I remember it made a public statement about it. A few days later, Russia attacked. And I mean, I'm no Vladimir Putin fan, but I can also understand the fact that if you don't start no shit, won't be no shit. And back in Clinton's administration, Vladimir Putin, he offered to join NATO. We don't want to expand our land. And that would have totally dissolved NATO and their purpose. And eventually, Bill Clinton actually agreed to it right when he said it, but then he come back and then he says, no.
Here's a little bit of pushback I have. And I agree that even though we may not favor what Putin and Russia is doing, it is a case of do as I say, not as I do, because I agree with you that if Russia, during the height of the Soviet Union, was trying to partner up with Canada or Mexico, we would be threatening to go to war with Russia too. However, I will say this, in my opinion, Russia should have gotten on the world stage and made it clear if there is any talk of joining NATO, we have no choice but to defend our sovereignty and go into Ukraine. He should have made it more clear than just launching an attack like that, because that would have probably made the U.S. stand down and not do that.
But don't you also remember that Boris, under the directions of the United States, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson was going to go over there and try to have a peaceful, Russia was trying to have a peaceful, to de-escalate a little bit, and Boris Johnson, through our administration, shut all that shit down. So there was, took all the peace talks off the table. So if you can't get along to get along, handsome, I mean, there's only one thing left to do.
Well, here's my take on it. I think the U.S., talking about us specifically, we have a long history of breaking treaties and rules and promises. I mean, even what was the first thing Trump did when he got in office? He broke the Iran deal. So I always say on the program all the time, God bless any nation that makes a deal or a treaty with the United States and expects us to honor it. When Trump did that at the time, I said, even though the Iran deal may have been a shitty deal, whatever the case may be, you signed on the dotted line. He made it clear that any deal you make with the Americans is only as good as the guy you're making it with. The next guy, if he decides he don't like it, may totally opt out of it. He will not honor the previous promise of the United States. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying on NATO, but they made a deal that NATO would not come any closer to Russia with a different president than Biden. Just like the Iranians made a deal with Obama that Trump violated. I mean, America is, I hate to say it, we're not trustworthy globally.
And I agree with you 100% there too. When you sit down and you break these treaties, I mean, shit's gonna hit the fan. Unfortunately, and all this bullshit that goes on up top ends up costing us our military family. And that's horrible. I think that in the next few months it's going to get crazy. I think that it's not going to get any better from here. I mean, unless you can sit down and talk with these people, our president won't even entertain to go down and sit down and pull a meeting together and de-escalate.
I agree, but that what Biden is doing with Putin is kind of the status quo. We have never talked to Putin. Trump did talk to Putin. He talked to Kim Jong-un, and at best, he got a temporary calm out of it. He didn't get any deals or treaties signed either. So I don't know. I mean, I expect Trump, because of his somewhat prior friendship with Putin, to get a little bit accomplished, but at this point, there may be so much blood and treasure lost that he can only do so much.
Well, like you said a few minutes ago, that Russia making a deal with us is kind of mute because, like you said, the next, and he said this, Putin said this, the next guy that comes in, doesn't stand by the word of what we wrote.
I got into so many arguments with MAGA when Trump got out of that Iranian deal. They were celebrating. Same thing with NAFTA and the Paris Accord. And I told them then, I used the example of, say you go to a dealership and the dealer's wife is there operating the dealership for the day. She sells you a Cadillac for $10,000 below sticker price. Hey, I got a cheap car. You go out and buy it. The next day, the husband comes to work and shows up at your house and says, that was a dumb deal. I want the car back. Like, would you ever do business with that dealership again? And that's where, and that's what Trump did with the Iran deal. It's a stupid deal. We're out of it. And now you got Biden doing stuff like that. So,
well, I mean, we can all agree that Iran is, they breed terrorists. Man, you can't trust Iran no further than you can throw them. And them having a nuclear weapon is very dangerous for the world.
I agree with that, but you still got to honor your word. Your word is all you got. You can't come in there and say, the last guy made a dumb deal with you, I'm not going to honor it. I mean, he put the signature for the United States down on the rest of the world don't look at us, Obama, Trump, Biden. They look at us as America agreed to this. So when the next guy comes in there and just tears up the Paris Accord or NAFTA or the Iran deal, it's like, well, damn, America isn't really trustworthy. I thought it was a terrible thing for Trump to do at the time, but MAGA was tearing me a new one on it.
Yeah, well, I don't know all the answers, Handsome. I just know that every fiber of my body as a man that my core energy that protects my family and is just on fire right now. It's just it is just on fire. And with Trump coming in with the mass deportations, I agree with the mass deportations, and I think he's going to start off with the criminals. Great, listen, it's a great step forward. I keep hearing people say that Americans create more crimes than illegal immigrants. Well, at bare minimum, we should try to keep it at a bare minimum, at our best. You know what I'm saying? For people to sit there and say that, well, with the Lake and Riley, there are more Americans that do that. You're right. And you know what? We got to weed those people out, my man. But we owe it to Jocelyn, the little girl that got her life taken from her down in Houston. I mean, we owe it to them to try to keep it to a bare minimum, and I blame this administration. Wholeheartedly that, those people do not belong here. And I blame the people that let them in the first place. You just can't let mass waves of people come into a country, especially when we, for the past 20 years, have been over there stirring up a bunch of shit, dropping bombs.
Right. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. I do got to move. I do got to move it on. But I will just say, it doesn't, I'm not a big fan of exaggerating or being dishonest when the truth is sufficient. We got too many people in here that's been unvetted, and we need to get this under control, particularly starting with the criminals. We don't need to start making up stories that they're murdering everybody or eating people's pets. I think the truth will do. You don't need to make up stories. So, because you could end up getting innocent people harmed when you got people thinking they're going to eat my dog or eat my cat or they're going to take my child. Just simply tell the truth. There are too many folks in here. We don't know who the hell they are, and we need to get it under control. Last word to you.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that any liberal city that's going to try to get in the way of that, they should be charged with aiding and abetting. I mean, you can't, they're coming in there to get the criminals regardless what they say or what they think about it. It's going to be done, and it can be clean. It can be done safely, and I think the cooperation of the cities that have a lot of criminal illegal immigrants in their cities should assist on trying to get the people out of their cities. I mean, they work for the people. They work for the American citizens, but it just seems like they have a bigger bite and a bigger bark for illegals right now.
But they're not going to cooperate. I'm with you that you don't want to aid and abet a criminal, but call them what they are. Don't call them pet eaters and then come to the liberal cities and expect help. It's one thing when you're coming to enforce the law, but when you're coming here and you're calling these people murderers and all kinds of stuff that's not true, to some degree, I can understand the resistance. Come with the truth. Don't come with lies and all of these wild accusations. That's where the problem might be. I got to move it on. Appreciate it, though. Live free.
You have a wonderful day, sir.
Pleasure. All right, moving on with the program. Thank you. Real quick, I do want to respond to gladly Google can't even get this out. I'm having a Biden moment. Mobile RV, I thought I saw something from you. Wow, I really had a Biden moment there. Trump pissed off Mexican presidents by calling her people criminals and everything in the book. Mexican president states 75% of illegal criminals are from Central America. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, telling lies or wild exaggerations creates hostility and resistance and even enemy sometimes where it's not necessary. I think the truth of Biden's mishandling of the border, I think the truth is sufficient. You don't need to make shit up. You don't need to go on TV and tell every wild story that you've heard, like the Haitian migrants. Well, I heard that from somebody. Verify this shit. Don't pass on stuff that could get people killed like that. By the way, Trump never said people were eating pets. Really? Really? Where RV USA? You said, by the way, Trump never said people were eating pets. What the hell did you watch? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. It's a fucking song using his voice. Are you serious? He never said people were eating pets. It's literally a song all over YouTube, all over. Oh my God. Michael. He never said that, huh? Just making up shit, huh? Mike, good evening.
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Wow. He never said they were eating pets.
No, of course he said it. And that's why you can't take this shit serious. And also, you have to take it so serious. Even your last caller.
What do you mean?
They are convinced that this mass deportation is for the reasons that they're saying, and that's bullshit. Because here's the thing: we've been dealing with immigration for years now, 50, 60, 70 years, right?
Yeah.
The laws we have in place have been in place for 50, 60 years.
Well, I know where you're going, and I got to disagree with you. Under Biden relaxed it. If you look at the amount of immigrants coming to this country and the enforcement of immigrants, the enforcement of illegal and undocumented immigrants under Biden compared to Obama, Trump, Bush, it's way worse. I mean, Biden did a bad job at the border. You're saying it was no different than everybody else?
No. I'm saying that the laws that are in place, we haven't had immigration reform in 50, 60 years. That's all I'm saying.
And Biden made no attempt to do it.
And again, so we can come to that. And here's the thing: for the sake of what I'm trying to say, I'll concede that to the side. But that's not what this is about. This is about Project 2025. This is about Christian white nationalism. Period. This is about listen. You and I have been talking about this. So now we've got what's his name? We've got Russ Vaught, right?
Yeah.
So
keep going.
You know Russ Vaught. So
no.
We've got Russ Vaught, who Trump is thinking about putting him back on his cabinet, who again was another contributor to Project 2025.
Let me interrupt you, because when you said that, hold on, let me interrupt you. Jacob on YouTube, the minute you said that, he says Project 2025 isn't even Trump's. How do you respond to so many people that keep saying that Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025?
And again, I'll tell you what I said before. Because if they accept Project 2025 to be real, they have to accept the racism, the misogynism, everything that goes with it. And they don't want to deal with that reality. Or they believe that shit and they don't want to say it publicly. There's no middle ground on that. Because here's the thing. They keep saying that, but everything around him, now he's got people that he is either
that actually wrote it.
Right. That wrote it that are going to be part of his cabinet now. So again, they can keep denying it all they want, but in their real life, they would never ignore those facts. So when they talk about criminals coming across the border and crime, and it's only right that we get the criminals out, but Roe v. Wade has caused more women to be unalived than migrants have committed crime in this country is bullshit.
So you think the whole push to get undocumented and illegals out of this country is rooted in white supremacy?
Of course it is.
I gotta push back to some degree. I mean, it is a safety issue when you got people coming in this country and you don't know who the hell they are or where they're from. You don't see any issue with that at all?
No, that's not my point. I agree with that. But if we're talking about safety and we're talking about safety of Americans, then we're okay with all of these kids being unalive, right? We're okay with women losing their lives because of Roe v. Wade and not being able to get health care in far greater numbers. So they're using the guise of protecting Americans, but they're undoing things to protect Americans. See, it's bullshit.
Give me some examples of things they're doing that are taking away protections of America, as you just stated.
Women's rights, women not having autonomy, women having to. There have been women that have lost their lives since the overturn of Roe v. Wade because they can't get the care that they need if they're having a miscarriage or whatever. Those are facts, right? Those are facts. It's indisputable. So there's been more women harmed by that than Americans harmed by immigrants coming across the border. It's a fact. It's a fact.
I can't.
It's not even up for debate if people do some research, but that's not their goal, Tim. Their goal is not to do research to find out that what I'm saying is true, because that goes against the white Christian.
Well, I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back and say, when you say there's more women that have been harmed for these pro-life laws than harmed by immigrants, the obvious pushback is you're ignoring the fact that all of these babies that were being unalive were being harmed. I mean, how many lives have been saved? Now, I'm pro-choice, but I can see the other side of this. How many babies have been saved now that Trump has rolled back Roe v. Wade? You could argue that he's actually saving American lives to a great degree.
No, because if you look at the actual stats and actual numbers, they act like women are having ABs as a way of birth control.
You don't think that's the case?
It's not the. Listen. It's 0.1% of the overall numbers.
What? You're saying that because we have before Trump rolled back Roe v. Wade, I've done lives on this. We had between 500 and 750,000 pregnancy terminations in this country per year. You're saying only 0.01% of those were, just being.
I'm looking at the numbers. 100%. I'm looking at the numbers. Listen, I'm going to say this, Tim. This was not my cause. This was not my focus until I actually started getting more educated.
Hold on. Let me make sure I get the clarity on this so the audience can hear this. In terms of women that just simply they're pregnant, they're having a healthy child. There's nothing wrong. There's no rape, there's no incest, there's no life of the mother at stake at all. They just don't want that kid. You're saying that the women
it's
that
like 1%.
1%.
It's like 1%, Tim.
Really?
It's like 1%. Yes, it's like 1%.
I didn't see what 1%. I need to see that. I don't believe.
It's like 1%, Tim. It's really not what. But again, I'll have to. Next time I get on your live, I'm gonna send it to you so you have it. Right.
So let me ask you this: based on what you've seen in your research, what is the largest reason women are terminating their children? You said 1% of them are just doing it for birth control. What is the primary reason most of them are doing it for?
There's a lot of medical complications and issues with fetuses. A lot more than I would ever understand, but it wasn't my focus. Because I'm gonna tell you what I started doing. I started listening to women. That's what I started doing. I started doing my research with doctors. I started doing research with OBGYNs that are having these discussions. These numbers are real. And here's the thing. For anybody in your comments that's telling me I'm lying, just do a little research, talk to an OBGYN, do some research. It's out there. The sad part is we've taken it and we've reduced the whole women's pro-choice or women's rights to autonomy down to ABs for one particular, as if they're just going out and having these ABs because they don't have nothing to do. That's not what's going on.
Wow. I mean, 1%. I definitely need to see the data on that. Real quick in the comments, I want to respond to this. Will G says, it's going to be very sad in the country when Trump's incompetence comes into play. They think they'll suffer for a little while, but Trump will be lying like he lied about bringing up a health care plan in 2 weeks, and it's been 10 years. Talking about he lied about repealing and replacing Obamacare. Well, John McCain stopped him, but he has a concept of a plan now. But so I'm still fascinated by what you said. But do you see what he is saying? Do you agree with that? That under Trump, there's going to be widespread suffering like that?
Yes. And here's the thing. Listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Why are men trying to make these decisions about women's rights and women's health care? We don't have that issue as a man.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the books that says that we can't do whatever the hell we want with our bodies, and we're trying to tell women. But again, it's another guise to do what their agenda says they want to do, and it's hurting people. So if they're really concerned, the same thing with gun violence in schools, the same thing with mass shootings. We don't want to address that, right?
But I do got to put on my MAGA hat and play devil's advocate here. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes up. We should be around 30,000, THOU. So I'm going to ask you folks to tap the screen for my TikTok viewers, smash that like button on YouTube, subscribe and follow if you will. A lot of men will say, no, it's not my body. So your body, your choice, but it's my baby. Should I just stand idly by? Maybe I'm 40 and this is the last time I can have a child, or whatever the case may be. You know, I'm sterile now, and this is the only child I would ever have. Should I say nothing while you terminate the life of my child?
Here's what I would say to that. I don't have an issue with that argument if that's been their argument, but it hasn't been an argument. It hasn't been the reason why. And that's what I'm saying. You can put anything on the table and come up with a pretty reasonable reason for doing it, but that hasn't been the argument. I'm
sure. Wait. No, I don't totally agree with that, Mike.
No, what I mean, to the extent that where we're talking about the laws being overturned, listen, you might hear about it in your life. When have you ever heard a politician talk about that reason for the reason they want to overturn Roe v. Wade?
That's a good point.
And that's my point, Tim. That's my point. It's not all. See, I don't believe everything on the left is right. I don't believe everything on the right is right. But I do believe there's a lot of bullshit.
That is a lot
of that. I do believe there's a lot of lying going on. And I do believe there's a lot of hypocritical shit from the right. You talk about all this stuff, but Trump got four people in his potential cabinet or administration, not including himself, that have SA allegations.
Not including himself.
Not including himself. Yeah. Convicted. What are we really talking about? And see, that's my problem with when I hear people agreeing with this and trying to make excuses and rationalize this behavior, because we all know they would never tolerate any of this stuff if it was coming from the left.
I don't disagree with that. So are you saying
it's just, we got to, at some point in time, we got to call it what it is. That's why I told you when I got on here, Trump is embracing Project 2025. He's always known what it is. So anybody that says he doesn't, they just don't want to admit that they've been fooled and or lying this entire time.
Well, 2 months.
Period.
He's in office in 2 months. I got to move it on, Mike, but
you
2 months.
Matt Gaetz. You didn't ask me about Matt Gaetz.
Well, you mentioned he had several people that had SA references on there, people who had sexual assault charges or accusations against him. Matt Gaetz did step down. I'll give you a quick minute. How do you feel about that?
He resigned, or as we all know, they told him to get the hell out the way. And here's the thing.
That's what happened.
Damn right. Listen, you got to call it what it is. They told him get the hell out the way because they've been trying to protect him. So if that report would have come out as they're trying to protect him, so you got to own what you try to protect. You have to own what you try to protect. If I defend you, Tim, and I've seen that report, and that report says you did that thing, what does it say about me, Tim?
It says you're okay with it.
It says I'm okay with it. So they're like, you need to get the hell out of the way because we're trying to get things done and we can't defend it anymore because it's going to come out and we know. And then here's the thing. There's been Republicans that have said publicly on TV that Matt Gaetz has made comments about how he crushed up his his pills and took a Red Bull so he can. It's just crazy, man, that they ignore all of this shit like it's not happening. And I'm telling everybody that's saying, oh, he's not going to deport. Oh, I know he said it, but he's not going to do it. Which one is it?
Welcome to the.
Is that a flip flop?
Welcome to the new world. All right, Mike. Welcome to the new world. 2 months to go.
I'm gonna send you those numbers.
All right. I'm dying to see that because I'm having a difficult time believing that. But send me what you got, and we'll talk about it. All right. Appreciate it. Now, he stated, and I have a hard time believing it, but look, I get corrected on the program all the damn time. That's why I'm a huge proponent of free speech. Nobody is a know-it-all, including your host. I don't ever want to make it appear as if I'm talking down to guests or I have all the damn answers. I do not. I get educated by MAGA, independents, and liberals alike. Now, he's telling me that only 1%, or I think he said even less than 1%. I think he said 0.0 something, but less than 1% or 1% of women that opt to terminate a pregnancy are doing it just as a measure of birth control. They don't want the kid. I thought it was way higher than that. I need to see the data because my humble opinion is I thought that most terminations of babies were women that either financially weren't ready or maybe they're no longer with the boyfriend, so they don't want to have his kid. I thought it was mostly that. I actually thought it was mostly that. So maybe I'm completely wrong. But I would love to see the numbers he have. Let me go back to the box. That's the first I've ever heard somebody say it is that freaking low. Do not have the right to use pregnancy termination as a birth control, says C. Matherson. Well, they did have the right to use termination as birth control until just recently. And there are a host of states where you still have the right to do it. So you watch way too much right-wing media, says DJ D's. Maybe. Alan Quinn, how many men want, how many men want men accused of sexual assault around the women in their family? Excellent question. Don't be a hypocrite and act like you'd be okay with it. Fact. But I will say this, Trump has been accused of SA, and I think a lot of folks would not mind having Trump around their family. He's on stage at rallies holding babies up and things like that, so I don't know. See, Matherson says men are drafted still to this day. Well, and we're going to talk about the fact that Pete Hegseth, Trump's appointee for Secretary of Defense, is saying women should not be in combat. And I want to find out from you folks, do you agree with that? That women should not be allowed to be in combat, suggesting that maybe they're too distracting, they don't have the physical prowess to get the job done, and a host of other reasons. But women not being allowed in combat. Continue on the program. B Wine, one of my subscribers, I always give my first digs to my subscribers. Good evening. Welcome to the program. B Wine, I think it says. Now, we don't get a lot of females on the program, but I would like to speak to her because I want to ask her about this. B Wine, good evening.
Hi.
Hey.
Good evening. How are you?
I've
got bars.
I'm perplexed.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
me?
Perplexed. Yes.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Great.
You heard my take on you heard my take on only 1% of women.
Yes.
What is your opinion on that? Being a woman yourself, what is your opinion on that?
So I don't know the specific statistics, although I do know Michael, and Michael isn't somebody that usually puts up a statistic that he doesn't have support to back up. I know him well. He's one of the reasons why I found your live, because I saw him.
Thank you, Michael.
But what I can tell you is that let's just do some simple math. Let's take out the emotional piece of it, and let's just do some math. An AB costs roughly $700 to have, right? So I don't know a lot of women that are just like, hey, I'm just going to go on over here and drop $700 every time I have an issue.
Are you serious? Wait, hold on. You realize most dudes that knocked up a woman and they don't want to be a dad will happily come up with that $700 even if they got to rob a bank to get it? I mean, you can get $700 if you got a baby that guy don't want.
Listen, then more power to them. Then those guys should keep their mouths shut about whether or not AB should be legal or not. Because there's one joke in the world that a woman can never make, And it's a joke that men like to say all the time when you say, hey, do you have kids? And the guy always says, not that I know of. And everybody laughs. But guess what? There isn't a woman on this planet that could make that joke. Not a single damn one of them.
That's a great point.
So one of the reasons that I don't, no offense to the men, but I don't really abide with this whole, like, oh, men are going to tell us what to do, is partially that joke, right? You know, we have single mothers in this country, not a lot of single mothers, not because they're necessarily wannabe, but because they are in that situation because the father doesn't want to be around, or like, you know, any of that.
But I think that fathers that don't want to be around could lead to women terminating the child. Listen, I got knocked up by a thug, or this dude is going to prison anyway. I don't want to have his baby. 1%, that seems really low. Now in the comments but I'll let you continue, but Cave Teeth in the comments on YouTube said the 1% or less on terminating pregnancies is actually the ones that are from rape or incest. That's what one of the viewers countered with, but keep going.
So let's talk about it in this sense, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about all the reasons that a woman might, other than medical, need or feel the need to do this. And if you were somebody, I'm very interested to know the people that are seriously anti-AB, if they have ever been in a situation or experienced one, or had a friend or a family member or somebody that felt it necessary to do it, right? One of the very interesting things you hear a lot is if you listen to a lot of these women that are nurses or practitioners that work in these clinics, they'll tell you all the time that pro-life women come in all the time, and they look down their noses at the other women and they say, well, this is not the same as them. They're just doing it for birth control, but I can't do it. We can't afford it, or I can't do this. I'm too old, or this is just, I just can't. Like there's always a reason why they're there,
right,
that's different than the reason why the other people are there.
I believe that.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example in my own life, and the one experience that I've had. I have never been pregnant. I'm not able to get pregnant. And you might think that, well, that would mean that I would be pro-life because but I believe I love children. I don't know that I necessarily would have ever had an AB myself, but I don't know because what do we always say? You don't know somebody's life until you walk a day in their shoes.
That is a fact.
Right?
That is a fact.
So let's say, for instance, that a woman gets pregnant and her husband beats on her.
Yeah.
And she's trying to leave, right? And she's trying to figure out a way to get out. And they don't have any kids, let's say. And now all of a sudden she's pregnant, which means if she has that baby, she is stuck to that man for the rest of her life.
But that is still,
right?
That's still having that procedure.
That's still birth control. Somebody's going to say that woman's still using it as birth control. What if you're like, guys are like, people don't want to talk about this, but how many guys do you know that want to make America rubber again? Right? How many guys do you know that want to do that? So let me ask you this question. So women take all kinds of birth control. We shoot all kinds of IUDs and all the things in us. They're not all 100%.
Yeah.
So what if it started to be like, okay, well then I'm going to use the birth control pill, and you're going to have to make America rubber again.
Oh my God.
Because I'm not doing this.
You just lost you just lost my vote with that bullshit. Yeah, I get your point. That is funny though. That is hilarious.
So if you've done everything that you can, and you know all the side effects and all the things that women go through, and it's like I'm trying to do my very best to keep this from happening. So you really, everybody goes, women keep their knees closed. That's the other one I hear from these assholes. Yeah. Excuse my French. Keep your knees closed. I'm like, well then keep it in your pants. You're gonna be okay. Everybody, the guys are all having apoplexy over the 4B movement. Well, guess what happens, right? Because nothing is 100%. So it's like, okay, if the women, because what that is, I don't think women should use it as birth control. You know what that is? It's slut shaming. It's slut shaming. They don't want to think about
Go ahead.
They don't want to think about the reasons a woman might need to have an AB, or it might be better for her life, or it might be better for the life of the child. I mean, what if they got 5 children already and they can't afford a 6th one, and she's taking birth control and she gets pregnant anyway?
Well, but you're gonna have a lot of men. You're gonna have a lot of men push back and say, if I got 5 kids already and I can't afford a 6th one, and somebody gets knocked up, you're gonna tell me, well, you're man enough to make a baby, you better be man enough to come up with that 6th amount of child support. I think that has a lot to do with why the approach from men seems to be so low in sympathy is because men that go through issues in regards to parenting, women for decades have shown no sympathy at all. Doesn't matter if he's broke, doesn't matter if he's 14, 15, you better man up and find a way to pay. I mean, the way we've treated men, you know, expecting them to be decent fathers, only giving them every other weekend with kids and things like that. The stories from men in regards to parenting has been horrible for the last 20 or 30 years. So I think that a lot of men are just like, well, now you're getting to see what we went through.
But let me tell you something. Then you know my response to men? Put a condom on. None of those men that have children, you're telling women to keep their legs closed. Put a condom on. You don't want her to trick you into having a kid, or you don't want to have 5 babies? Then put a condom on. Or shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Tell me how, I mean, am I wrong?
No, but that same response, no, you're not wrong, but that same response could apply to a woman as well. If you tell a guy, once you've created a child, you need to man up and take care of your responsibilities. Well, then if a woman shows up at a clinic wanting to terminate her child, they could tell her the same thing. If you were woman enough to create a child, you better woman up and take care of your responsibilities. Could it not apply both ways?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it could.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is that there's more incidents of the possibility of a woman's birth control being defective than there is a condom in a woman's birth control.
Yeah, I don't know the failure rate of prophylactics. I can't argue with you on that, but I'm just simply saying,
right?
Yeah, I'm just simply saying that we give when a man, I don't care if a dude is strung out on drugs or if he's, as I said, 14, 15. There are no exceptions. Once a guy creates a child, we expect that guy to step up. But women, in addition to AB, what we're talking about now, there's also safe havens. We do give women all of these outs that men do not have. We tell the man, once you do it, we expect you to become responsible. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you're mentally ill, you got PTSD, whatever. You need to find a way to be responsible. But we're telling women, well, we kind of understand.
But the percentage of men that actually have the opportunity to walk away, as the woman, think about it. How many times have you, what's the percentage of women that just have a baby and hand it over to the man and say, good luck, I'm out of here, bye. I'll send you a check. I'll send you a check every month. What's that percentage?
Very low, very
pretty
low.
Pretty damn low,
yeah,
right?
Pretty low.
I mean, we don't hear a lot of, it's pretty low, right? So the reality is, and women know this, whether you're on the pro-life side or the pro-choice side, women know that it's the women that take care of the children, right?
Yeah, but I will.
Like I said about the joke, you can't walk away. You can't walk away. And even a check, listen, even a check isn't a parent. Even a check isn't another person helping you raise a child.
True.
A check doesn't keep you from having to not work as much, not have a life for yourself, not have, you have a child.
It's crazy. I don't disagree. I don't disagree that a check doesn't compare to parenting whatsoever. I agree with you 100%. But I will say this. It's amazing at how many, you see all these women, these dudes that go down to family court and all that. It's a lot of decent, I hate to sound like I'm fighting on behalf of men, but there's a lot of women that are choosing to be single parents. Every child growing up without a father was not abandoned by his dad. A lot of women, for whatever, I don't like your new girlfriend, or I don't like the fact that you dumped me. There's a lot of dudes that actually want to participate. And the woman just kicks them out of the picture. And unfortunately, at least for the last generation or so, our system has really given women the power to do that. If all things are equal, both parents are gainfully employed, both parents are healthy and everything else, woman's going to be more victorious in court most of the time. So it has been unfair after the child is born.
So you're feeling as though the women, your point is, and again, I know that we're having a conversation that's a little bit on topic but off topic, but your feeling is that the women are just having the baby so that the men have to pay for them?
No, I'm just simply
feeling about it?
No. I'm saying that once we start talking about taking away a woman's right to choose, the system will be unfair, in my opinion, because I'm pro-choice 100%. But I believe the system will be unfair to women. What I'm saying, though, is while women are crying that they're losing rights or how the system is mistreating them, they have ignored for at least a couple generations that the exact opposite has been happening to men. I mean, all of the things, all the reasons I gave you.
The only reason that a man would be mistreated, I hear your argument, but the only reason to that argument that a man would be being mistreated is if he didn't want the baby in the first place, and that she was having it without. Right? No, because you just said.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say you and I have a child.
Follow your logic here. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to follow your
logic. No, that's fine. Let's say you and I have a child together and we break up. You generally get custody and I get every other weekend. So that means out of every month, I'm getting 4 to 5 nights with the kid, and you're getting like 25. That was the default position, where the mom got the lion's share of the time, and even in some cases, she got the lion's share of the support coming from the guy. The guy gets like 4 or 5 days a month, and he's expected to pay at least half of the expenses, and that was the default position in courts. You don't see no unfairness to that?
That has changed now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but like I said, it went on for about 2 generations. It went on for about 2 generations, though.
Yeah.
And women didn't care, and women did not care about that at all.
Well, but also for at least one generation before, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but in my mother's generation was the first generation where women could have a credit card, they could have a job, they could buy a house on their own. I mean, they were stuck having to be supported by the man.
Yeah, but there
was no choice.
No, I don't disagree with that. But we talking about parental stories. But yeah, I don't disagree that.
But I mean, if she got pregnant and had a kid, like it wasn't like she could. I mean, she couldn't even have a credit card.
Yeah.
She couldn't rent an apartment for her and the kid to live in without co-signing by her father or her partner or whoever it was. So I mean, there was a lot back then. You couldn't even have no fault divorce. So
yeah, but what I'm talking about, where the guy gets like 2 to 4 days a month, and the woman that stuff you're talking about didn't exist in that period. I'm talking about in the 80s, 90s until now. The guy gets this little tiny time. The woman can have a job and do all of that. All of the oppressive stuff you're talking about is not in play, and they're still treating the guy like that.
So are you saying that the men were fighting for more time so that I don't want to say so they could pay less, but they wanted more time. And in that scenario, they wanted more time and to pay less money.
I mean, well, if you get more time, less money should be part of it, because you got to spend money on the kid when the kid's with you. But I would say go to any family court. There are men in court fighting on behalf of custody and visitation for their children every day. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest issues that we call it family law attorneys deal with, is men saying, I can't see my dad. If you watch any of the old shows like the Maury's and all, that's the first thing women.
I can't see my kid.
Yeah. I mean, so it was well known that men were being denied time with their kids, and the system was favoring the guy's money over the actual guy being a father. That was well known.
Yeah.
And so now the system
is. I don't think that that's not a problem we shouldn't try to solve. I just don't know that I would go so far as to say we need to solve that problem by.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
That problem is the same as not having autonomy, because right now, and I want to make sure that your listeners know this too, that you know how they've been saying, like, they wouldn't codify birth control and IVF.
Right.
Do you know why they wouldn't do that?
Do you know
the real subtext?
No.
So the subtext of that is that, and I'm gonna get a little technical, so I'll try to use not necessarily.
Okay, I'm gonna have to move you, because I do gotta move it on. But go ahead and land. I'll let you land it.
Here's why. Because IUDs don't stop fertilization; they stop implantation, and IVF is fertilized eggs that are in a freezer. And if you've got enough babies and you don't want to continue on, but you've got viable cells that have divided enough, and you destroy them, they call that an AB.
Wow.
And if you use an IUD, they consider that an AB.
That's crazy.
So what I'm trying to get people to understand is that this is not just, this is beyond just, medical procedure. This is beyond all of that. That's the reason why they wouldn't codify IVF and IUDs and birth control because that's what they consider those ABs. So that's how severe. That's how far down the rabbit hole they're going.
It could get bleak. I got to move it on, though. B-Wine. Yep. Great
Thanks,
conversation.
It was my first time. Great conversation with you. First time talking. I keep following you. And I look forward to talking again.
Anytime. My door's always open. Okay, moving on. It was good to get a female perspective on that because a lot of the men in the comments agreed. A lot of women are, you're full of shit. I get that from the women. I appreciate the healthy dialogue on both sides of the aisle. You guys know I don't block, ban, or censor, so you can be critical on this program. That's what free speech is about. I'm going to ask that I always ask. Tap the screen. Get the likes up. Let's see if we can get around 50,000. 50. F-I-D-D-Y. So tap the screen. Get your boy up to about 50,000. I'd appreciate that. If you guys enjoy this type of dialogue, uncensored, all sides of the aisle, civilized. It is civilized to a degree, but we enjoy speaking with folks from all sides of the aisle. That's how we do it. We don't talk down to guests. If you enjoy that type of dialogue, feel free to follow the program on TikTok. Subscription on YouTube horizontal or YouTube vertical. I do want to respond to some super chats. I didn't respect from Canada. Shout out to one of my Canucks, John E. Souls. Appreciate that. I wanted to respond to a couple super chats that I did miss. And unfortunately, the YouTube thing is acting crazy here. Bandito says, my neighbor 14-year-old was the R word. We'll just say sexually assaulted by dad. That's it. That's a case of incest. Gross and sad. Girl had an AB. Mom still stayed with the man. Daughter was removed, and it is a mess. I can another Biden moment. I can confirm that sounds like a mess. That's what I want to say. That does. Wow. My neighbor, 14-year-old, was sexually assaulted by the father. Thank you, Dencal. Appreciate that. By the father. It is indeed gross and sad. Girl had an AB, so she got rid of her. This would have been dad's child and his grandchild simultaneously. Yikes. Mom still stayed with the man. That's terrible. Daughter was removed in this semester. That is awful. That sounds like some Lifetime shit. They say over 50% of farm work is handed by undocumented immigrants. If Trump takes them out, you won't even need tariffs to fill the bad economy. I think Trump's going to run into some trouble at that point. I think if he stays with DJ Julio, thank you. I think if Trump sticks to getting rid of migrant criminals, he can appease all crowds. There's enough bad people or folks that are not doing anything or maybe just a louse on society that you don't need to get down to the folks that are actually working and things like that. You can put them on Fox News every day and you would appease MAGA. The liberals aren't really interested in having a bunch of people deported other than out of their cities, but the MAGA folks want to see people getting kicked out of here. So show them criminals every day. Show them folks that are getting welfare checks, and I think you can satisfy everybody. I think Trump will do a good job in that area. Will G says it's going to be very sad in the country. Oh, I did read that when you said when Trump's going to come in and be incompetent. We'll see. You gotta, I suppose, because we have no choice, we gotta give the man a chance. That's kind of all we have right now. Women use men as marriage slaves, says C. Matherson. What the hell is a marriage slave? Wow. Women use men as a marriage slave. I am dying to know what the hell that even is. A marriage slave. Wow. Man, I don't know where. I'm curious. What is a marriage slave? I had another super chat, but for some reason YouTube is playing games. I can't go back up and read it. I'll continue with the program. I apologize to somebody if I didn't read their super chat because it's not letting me do it on YouTube vertical. And I see the 7 sacraments of health says that my guest that said that is salty. C is salty. All right, let me go back to the box. Women don't want to get married anymore, says 11. Well, there certainly has been a removal of incentives. You don't have to depend on a man anymore for money. You can buy your own house, your own shit. Didn't Beyonce have a song like that? The shoes on my feet, I bought them, something like that. I depend on me, all the ladies independent. Going back to the box, Appreciate you guys that are here tapping the screen. I did have a holder for one of my subscribers, Stick the Ruler. Good evening, Stick.
Hey, how you doing, Jim?
Hey, I'm in the trenches today. So we're talking about where we had a whole bunch of topics pop up here. I saw you on hold, but we weren't even meant to get into the whole AB and women terminating children, but we're talking about Biden giving the Ukraine ability to use long-range ordnance on Russia. Folks are saying he's trying to start World War III. What say you?
Well, you can't start something that's already been going on.
But well, World War III is not going on.
Nah, the war between Ukraine and Russia. That's what I'm talking about.
Did he? But did his actions escalate it though?
No, I don't think so. What I think is he says, check this out. I don't know what you and Trump talked about. Maybe you want to tell me, maybe you don't. But what I do feel is you're gonna be shit out of luck once he gets in office. So if you need anything right now is the time to ask for it. If Congress passes it, this is what people are missing. They just think Biden. If Congress passes it, I will sign it into law or I will make sure that you get it. So apparently Congress has signed something, put it on his desk, and Joe Biden signed it.
I said the same thing, that Joe Biden isn't doing this alone, and it's not just liberals. There are plenty of traditional Republicans that favor helping the Ukraine as well. Real quick before we continue this conversation, this is back on what we were talking about. I just happened to notice this in the comments and wanted to read it. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Get us up to 60,000. Smash that like button on YouTube. Patty said that women abort out of spite instead of giving it to the man. What the fuck? Okay, back to the original topic. You believe that?
No. Well, so check it out, Tim. You, in every case, in every race, in every speck of this earth, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many, but you're gonna have a small percentage of people that they do stuff like that.
That's just evil. That's just evil.
Now, but mind you, not being a woman, when you had the guest up there that said it was like 1 point something percent.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
So this is what the research said. The research said they don't have a number, but what they do know and what they've been paying attention to and keeping track of, that most ABs happen in the first month of pregnancy.
Okay. But they don't have a number as to why women are doing it.
No, they don't.
That makes sense. That would be like saying, let's figure out how many Americans are intolerant and hateful towards other races. Most people ain't going to admit that shit, so you'd never get it. Most women are not going to admit, I didn't have any other reason other than I just didn't want the kid. That's why I got rid of it. Them type of women probably ain't going to come to the fray and admit it.
Well, they only gave 50% is done in the first month. They didn't say who it was, how it happened.
Right.
They didn't give any reasoning, but it just depends on how you look at it. Some people will look at it and say, well, see, that's the evidence right there that 50% of them are going and having ABs just for
let's speculate. If you
contraceptive.
Yeah, but let's just speculate. If you just had to guess, let's say you're on a game show where you win the prize and you got a 50-50 chance that if you guess the right way. Do you think that 1% is likely correct or an understatement?
Again, I just looked at the numbers real quick. Again, it didn't give me a number, but I would say being it didn't give me a number and they just made it out and said that it was in the first month of pregnancy, I would say out of that 50%, it was probably more like 15%.
So it's a gross understatement then.
Well, I'm saying it's 15% out of that 50%.
Let me ask you more clearer, because you're giving me word spaghetti here. I'm asking you, out of all of the women that terminate pregnancies, do you think, suggested that only 1% of them do it as a total elective method of birth control, do you think 1% is likely closer to being accurate or a gross understatement?
I think it's closely to being accurate.
Close to being
I
accurate.
believe it's
Wow.
closely to being accurate.
That's
But again, Tim, we've had this conversation about ABs. I feel I'm pro-choice.
so am I.
I feel like a woman should have full autonomy over her body.
So do I.
And anything else. But at the same time, for the men, I feel like we don't have our rights for our pockets. I feel like sometimes in that percentage, you do have women that have children, and on the back end, it's you can't see the child unless I get my money.
Yep. I mentioned that to my last guest. When you watch them Maury shows and shit like that, that's the first thing they always say. He ain't paying me, so you can't see it. You see women show up in court and say that. He ain't give me no money, so I ain't. Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah. So then on top of that, again, I was saying it during the election and a little bit before the election. Well, not really before the election, but before Donald Trump started saying he was running, which was 2 years before the election. Men should have more rights, just period. And I know it's hard to hear that. Damn, man, want more rights. Yeah, I want more rights. I want more rights to my pockets.
What do you think?
I want more rights to say that. Look, if I can tell you out of my mouth, I don't want no more kids. I don't care how you get it done. Whether it's on video, whether it's through a contract, whether you got to sign this card, I don't care. I don't want any more kids. If I tell a woman I don't want any more kids and then she turns around and says, well, I'm going to have it anyway. Okay, and we're in a state where you're allowed to go have an AB. I want to be able to sign a contract that says, you said you wanted to keep it. I said I don't want it. I give up on my rights.
I see the key.
I'm sorry. I give up all my rights.
Okay, I just want to bring somebody. I want to bring up a woman, the woman. I want to hear her opinion because I seen her in the comments. Takesha, how would you respond to that?
You need to get a vasectomy if you don't want any more children. That'll solve all that. Then nobody can get pregnant for you.
Now, Takesha, you know I'm not talking about me. You know I'm not talking about me.
No, what I'm saying.
I'm saying to make it fair, Takesha. I'm saying to make it fair.
When men say they don't want any more children, there's a quick fix for that. Get a vasectomy, and then nobody can't get pregnant no matter how many times you skeet off in them.
But guess what, Takesha? That's not the issue. The issue is, again, men's rights. We just sat up here and talked. Hold on, Takesha. We just sat up here and talked about the money issue. Some women, excuse me, y'all. Some women have ABs, not ABs. I'm sorry. They have the child to keep the man on the leash to get that money. That's some. And I'm not going to give it a high number. I feel like that number is very low. But at the end of the day, to eliminate that, it needs to be a process. It needs to be a process in the sense of you don't have that cushion no more to go out there and be doing all this stuff and creating life like that. We already got it for the man. Yeah, we got it for the man. We got it for the man and we got it for the woman too. And they both can abide by it and say, guess what? I need to either strap it up or not even have sex.
But Stick doesn't she make a point though that if you are in a relationship and you're telling your spouse or your woman, I don't want to have a kid, she is correct. The simplest solution is just to go out and get the procedure done.
And that would be true. I said I'm not really talking about me. Me personally, I got all my kids, and I ain't never asked nobody to have an abortion. But what I'm saying is the man should have the right, the same way a woman has the right to put a man on child support. If you got the right to put a man on child support, the man should have a right to say, well, I told you when we signed this agreement that I ain't want no more kids. If you want to keep it, that's on you.
Whoa. Go ahead, Takesha.
Let me ask you this. Hold on. Because you say y'all don't have any rights. Okay, a woman get pregnant.
I didn't say that.
Hold on. You walk off from the child and the woman. You never have nothing else to do with that child. But if she wait till that child She can't walk off from that child unless somebody gonna come with the police and say she abandoned that baby. But they don't call y'all abandoners. They just let y'all walk off. You pay child support, you pay it if you want to. If you don't, you don't. You can't tell trying to get child support.
No, ma'am.
That ain't true. That's not true, Takesha.
That's not how that goes. Takesha.
That's not true.
If you miss a child support payment, they will come and get you.
That's not.
Ain't none of that. Ain't none of that, Takesha.
My youngest child dad owes me $18,000. He never paid child support. My child is 27 years old. They never went and picked him up from nowhere.
Takesha, this is the question, the only question. Did you worry about it? Did you go down there to the court? I went back and forth to court. I took off days from my job. Going to court, he never showed up. They never picked. They swear they couldn't find him. I was riding by that boy mama house, seeing his car, taking the address. They still act like they couldn't find that boy. Okay, so Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia.
Alabama.
Where we at? Alabama.
I live in Alabama.
That's a red state. I'm going to expect that.
Exactly.
Because I'm gonna tell you something. But listen though, that's the red states. We already know how they go. Listen, I'm an ally. I'm not against you. I agree with everything that you are saying. But all I am saying is, and I've been saying in the beginning, it's like this. You sit down, you talk to that person, y'all talk and y'all correspondence back and forth. This is imaginary world. This is not real. TikTok, just bear with me real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna have to move it on, but I'll let you guys finish this up.
Yeah. I'm quick with it. You understand what each other wants. If I tell you and we have signed this agreement, this is the imaginary world because there ain't no agreement right now. If I sign this agreement and I tell you I don't want any more kids, as a man, I want the right to hold you like Trump to those shut your mouth contracts. I want to be able, as a regular, ordinary person, say, hey, look, you done had this child. I told you I didn't want it. I wasn't trying to be soulless, but we signed this contract together. So I should not be liable.
Stick.
I should be able to hold my own money.
How can you say Here's my point though. If you're saying I don't want no more kids and then you busting inside of somebody, aren't you kind of contradicting your own wishes?
Yes, he is, handsome.
I gotta move it on though.
Handsome. Again, I said I wasn't talking about me. I was talking
about
know
you're not. I get it. All right, I gotta move it on. All right.
Hey, you gotta scare them not to have any more kids. If a man has a whole bunch of freedom, like Trump got all that freedom up there with the Supreme Court, I guarantee you stuff will change. Hey, they shaving their heads, not All
right, Stick. Appreciate it. Oh, you said we're talking. We're actually asking about. Oh my God, that went off the rails, but all right.
Went too far.
I got Pete Hegseth, Trump's appointee for Secretary of Defense, saying women don't belong in combat. Since you're a woman, how do you feel about that? Under the Trump administration, if women are prohibited from being in combat, is that a step in the right direction? Because some would say that women can be too distracting to the male soldiers and they don't have the physical prowess to get the job done.
He's sexist, and that's a sexist comment to make. All men are not horny dogs that think with they TikToker, with your thing that swings like a grandfather clock. Some men have restraint, and some men can see a woman and not want to bang her on the front line while they trying to fight.
Yeah. So
stop it.
I get a lot, but you'd be amazed. I get a lot of Trump supporters that actually agree with this. I got a lot of women that actually think this makes sense, that women have no place in combat.
Those are small-minded women. Let me tell you that. Because a woman can be a protector. She protects her children. A woman can, if you're a single parent, you got to protect your home. So what's the big deal?
Big deal is you take a guy like me, I'm a bigger guy. If I get wounded in combat, can I depend on a woman to drag me off the battlefield to safety?
Yeah. If you train her right, you can.
If you train, hey man,
You'll be surprised how many women, because let me say something. We go to the gym, we lift weights, and we can bench press a lot of weight. Just because you looking at a woman like she's weak does not mean she can't pull you. My friend have a hard time wrestling with me, and he's strong as an ox. But because I lift weights and I've trained myself, I can kind of restrain him a little bit. Just because we women don't mean we won't have no strength, hands.
That actually sounds kind of sexy. So in the comments,
no, that's right. I'm ready to fight him now, baby.
Why Herb says that is why women get raped. Stay off the line. Not strong enough to carry a wounded man. He's saying that's all because there is a lot of sexual assaults in the military.
That's a real nasty comment to make. That's why we get raped. That's ridiculous. We get raped because men are horny dogs that nobody want to sleep with, so they feel like they got to take it. That's why women get raped.
So no problem with women in combat.
I don't have no problem with it, Handsome.
All right.
Handsome, I had to apologize and be the bigger person because I said that Leaky Cheeks wasn't going to win. And when I woke up at 2-something in the morning, Lord have mercy, Jesus on my soul, and I saw that Leaky had won, I just started praying and asking the Lord, why, Jesus? But I want to come and apologize to you, because I said I would. Said if he won, I would apologize, and I'm gonna be the bigger person.
I was on live for 7 hours on election night, and I wasn't expecting him to win either until every state started going his way. A clean sweep on every single swing state.
I mean, I ain't gonna even say what I think happened, but because they said that, they talked about it for 4 years. I wanted to start that conversation.
Oh my God!
It's mighty strange that they ain't got no questions about the election being stolen this time.
None at all. But keep in mind. All right, but I gotta move. I gotta move it on. But what is your opinion on the absolute fact that if you combine all of the female voters in this country, more women voted for Trump than Kamala Harris? What's your opinion on that?
Women don't stick together.
Damn.
They don't. I'm gonna say it like this, Handsome. You got women that are afraid of their husband. They have to vote like their husband tell them. You got some women that are jealous of other women that don't want to see other women get ahead. And then you just got some dingy chicks that don't know no better.
All right. And black women did not support Trump.
And the ones that didn't vote for him, we're just the ones that have the same mind.
Wow. And black women, only 7% voted for Trump. So it wasn't black women.
Because, baby, let me tell you something. Y'all don't run us. First of all, our men don't tell us who to vote for and then tell us what to do. We are our own women who got our own mind, and we was not finna go against our woman.
Takesha had to take Takesha had to take meds to say sorry, says Bandito. So for your apology.
I didn't take meds. I just came up and said I was sorry. I mean, really, where's my boyfriend at him?
All right. Well, you keep wrestling like that, you're gonna get another. I gotta move it on though. Appreciate it.
Bye, handsome.
Holla. All right, moving on with the program. I do want to respond to a couple super chats before I move on. C. Matheson says women use men as marriage slaves. That was crazy because he says she doesn't care, she's writing it off. How does that work? I don't quite get that. I'd be curious to know before I move on with the program. I do want to. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Will G says Biden is right to do what he's doing for Ukraine because Trump will definitely cut them off. Everybody believes that, and Zelensky will be in real trouble, and then the USSR will be back up and running with Ukrainian resources. Damn. Now, I do tend to agree. I think most people agree that Trump will likely cut off the Ukrainians from support one way or another. And I'm somewhat agreeing with you and Bandito, who sent Trump backing up Russia. I do think Trump favors Russia over the Ukraine. I don't know to what degree, but he's spoken positively of Russia in the past and negatively of the Ukraine. We gave Trump a chance. He failed. The newer voters just don't know yet. This is coming from Will G. Says they will learn the hard way for believing right-wing propaganda that made them vote for Trump at the last minute. How many of you folks believe that maybe Trump is deceiving the voting public and they fell for what some might say is the okie doke? I don't know. Let me go back to the box. Wow, that's, man, well, we will see. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. Get the likes up to about 60,000. DJ Julio. So I see T Spoon says you do agree they fell for the okie doke. What is this U.S. is goodwill. What is this? The U.S. is goodwill. Depends on who you ask, Bobby. DJ Julio. DJ Julio, are you there? Okay, apparently he's not. I'll move it on. So I think he has a Model T going in the background there. Trump didn't fail when he was in before, shaking my damn head. Well, I said Y-M-E. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but you're saying Trump did not fail the first time he was in there. Depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask. A lot of folks favor Trump's economy. They definitely believe he was better at securing the border, but keep in mind, he did get fired the first time. There's a reason why he lost. He wasn't, some folks did not like him. So you can say he didn't fail, but he did get voted out based on everybody's belief other than his. Kamala was talking about family values and ABs. That scared me. I think the transgender stuff scared people too. Moving on with the program. Denkow. Good evening. Welcome back to the program. One of my subscribers, Julio, wasn't there, but we'll go to Denkow. Funky Comadina. Denkow, if it brings you up. Good evening, Denkow.
Hey, what's going on?
Shit, you heard a lot. What tickled your fancy there?
I didn't hear a whole lot. I've been here just for a few minutes. But, all that talk about abortions and stuff, I don't really have too much.
Let me ask you this. You got 2 months to go and Trump will be the 47th commander-in-chief of this country. How you feeling? Are you feeling excited, a little bit antsy? Maybe feeling like the Lion King when Scar took over the kingdom? How you feeling right now? 2 months to go.
Not really. I mean, it's becoming less and less as far as anxiety because we kind of see the things that we said like coming true. And so although we know there's going to be a lot of people hurt by what's going to happen, like what else, what other recourse do we have? Like we're not going to do January 6th. We're not going to pout and cry. We may be upset, but it is what it is. So when the people down in Texas start donating land so they can start setting up their concentration camps.
Oh my God. I heard that was just liberal fear mongering. You said they're going to really have concentration camps.
Yes, they have donated. There are donated lands, and people can say whatever they want to. All they got to do is do a simple Google search or DuckDuckGo or whatever search engine they would like to. But I think a lot of them don't want to know. They don't want to know. Hey,
hold on 1 second, Dinkcat. Julio, you were not skipped. You were brought up. You were away from the device. We heard your vehicle running in the background. So concentration camps, but I mean, do you believe that it'll be like Auschwitz or Buchenwald?
Listen, concentration camps have never been good throughout history.
True.
We can't talk about a time. Whoa, man, it was so good that they had those camps. Camps are not a good deal.
So good. Yeah, camps are never good. So good when we had those camps. No, that ain't a good thing. But now we did have some camps under Obama too. Remember the Red Cross, because he was separating families and they were sleeping on aluminum foil and shit like that. I mean, that was a camp too, was it not?
Yes. Well, we had a situation where we did have a lot of people coming in. Now, those things were, and I guess we would be splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Those things were not designed to put kids in cages. They were very temporary shelters because he was the warder in chief. He had a lot going on. And I'm sure that MAGA is going to try to say, well, Trump's going to do the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's definitely not the same thing. And if they want to, if they want to visualize this as a nice, orderly, they go pick out all of the criminals amongst the, Hispanic community and go deport them, and then everybody's happy. Then they don't know American history like I know American history.
But what if that actually did happen, where Trump predominantly went after criminals that are here, as opposed to going after illegal grandmas and little babies and shit? What if he actually did, specifically target folks that had criminal histories? Would that not be a good thing?
we would have to go further in that conversation and understand how would you go and identify just the criminals and not the other people. That's not how it works. That's like saying when they had the war on drugs, they could just go into the black neighborhood and identify the drug dealers. That's not how it works. You scoop up a bunch of people and then you kind of figure out.
No, you don't. Well, to answer your question, you go to the criminal records. You flag people who have criminal history that may not be a citizen. I mean, because a lot of the folks that came to this country and requested asylum, they do have a record of them. So you got them on. You compared the database of criminals to the database of folks that are required to show back up because they don't claim asylum. Anybody that matches, you red flag them. So if they're ever pulled over or stopped or anything, they instantly qualify for deportation. You don't have to necessarily go out and do warrants and go find them and hunt them down. I'm assuming you'd catch a lot of them on their own. People would report them if you give rewards and things like that. Parade them on TV, and that would probably satisfy MAGA and maybe calm down the liberals, because now you're just deporting people that have criminal histories.
Hey, we can sit here and talk about how they could do it to make everybody happy. That's just not how the world works. It doesn't work like what you're saying. We can just do this and we can just do that, and then we can identify. If we could do that, then they would already be doing that.
Well, do you think Biden even wants to get rid of immigrants here that are committing crimes? Has he even shown a desire to do that?
I believe he thinks, like, this is just my thought, that he doesn't believe the vast majority or even the majority of those people are here to do crime.
That ain't what I'm asking you. That ain't what I'm saying. The ones that we know that have actually came here and committed a crime. Has he even shown a desire to get rid of them?
Look, I don't know what he's shown. I'm not in the cabinet. We all have our ideas about what's going on and who do what and all of that stuff. I don't buy into that. He just said, look, just everybody come, even the murderers and all of that stuff.
The fact that you don't know speaks volumes. That he has never spoken out and said, if you come to this country and commit a crime, unfortunately, you got to go. I may be kind-hearted. I understand some of you want to better your life.
He has said that before. It's just that it's never been.
What has he done? What has he done to back up what he said?
He had his vice president come out on TV and said, do not come to this country. But we didn't hear that. All we know is we go by the rhetoric that's been put out there, that the border's wide open. We don't even take into account the reason why we had that mass exodus, that mass entrance in the country was after Title 42. We just skipped that.
Here's what I'm asking. By the way, thank you folks that are sharing the live. I forgot to encourage that. For you folks here, go ahead and share the live. Tap the screen. Get us up to about 70,000 on the likes. What has he actually done to show that he does not want criminals in this country? Any legislation, any suggestions, any bills, any executive actions? What makes you believe he does not want folks that come in this country that commit crimes to get kicked out? Has he shown you anything in that area?
I don't go by the premise of your question when you say, does he want to put out criminals? Like, we're attributing immigrants with being criminals and then saying, well, he should be going after, like, look, people can have their own understanding of what he did. We can look at the numbers and we can see how many people he's deported. We can look at what we know was these Republican governors sending people up to New York and up to all of these Democratic cities and creating this big situation that we having a conversation about right now. But nobody's gonna ask what are the numbers right now.
Here's the point I'm making, Den Cal. Like this whole Jose Ibarra, the guy who took the life of Lincoln Riley that you're seeing plastered all over right-wing media. Fact is, he was caught committing. He already had a criminal history. He's a Venezuelan immigrant. He's not in the country legally. He already had a criminal rap sheet, and he came in during the Biden administration in 2022. I'm simply saying, and thank you for the subscription there, Lewis. Appreciate that. Thank you. What I'm saying is that if you were caught committing a crime, Biden could have either got on television and said, we need to get those people out of here. I'm going to suggest the Senate or Congress come up with a bill, something from his mouth to suggest that we will not tolerate you coming to this nation and committing crimes. I don't know of anything he ever said.
Right, because we've converted the conversation from saying what the border bill was designed to do, which was to put better stopgap measures in place to stop the fentanyl, to stop the illegal immigration, all of that. We've thrown that out the window, that was even introduced, and now we're saying we're concentrating specifically on the criminals. Not saying we could go back in time and look at Venezuelan immigrants that came into the country under Trump and committed crimes, but we're not doing that. We're concentrating on this one guy, not just one, but there's multiple. There's multiple. But if you look at it on a grand scale, how many of these migrants are out here, murdering these people? We concentrating on the ones that they're throwing up in our face, and everybody knows Lincoln Riley's name. But what are the names of the criminals that came across during Trump's border caravan?
Maybe the liberals should have brought that up if they cared about the border. That under Trump people they didn't do that. That's something you got to blame on the liberals.
I get it, and we've both been on here blaming the liberals. We have been.
And by the way, the border bill you keep bringing up, the problem with that is they didn't come up with the border bill until everybody was complaining and saying, you really need to do something, sir. And then he comes up with the border bill like a year before the election. So he's not going to get a lot of credit for that because it took him too damn long to come up with it.
Okay, well then what did the other border bills that Biden introduced when he first came in office, what did those bills include?
Some of that leaned towards protecting the border. But this is why I always say the lack of transparency from Biden is his biggest flaw. He should have been out there talking about any bill he tried to pass and the Republicans shot it down. The fact that Trump holds all those rallies really helps Trump out. Because even if he's lying about something, he can get people to believe it because he keeps saying it over and over again. Whereas Biden is dependent on the people to go research the CHIPS Act or the infrastructure bill and defend him. He should be out there telling that to the people. I think that was his biggest flaw of all, is he never talked to the people.
And we have both come on here numerous times and said the same thing. Even before, when he was running, before he lost, we've always came on here and said he and his team are horrible at getting out the word or explaining to people, especially in a way that people can understand, because the vast majority of the voters were, it is what it is. They were very uneducated, and they always knew that Trump was able to communicate with them in a way that they could understand, even if he was lying to them. But I don't like the premise of having conversations from Trump's perspective. You saying that he should have been out there doing 1,000 interviews and everybody should be doing what Trump did. Trump is he's an exception to the rule.
He's a winner. He's a winner.
Every day. The president should not be out there every day telling us how he feels about every single situation in the country. I don't believe that that's the right way to go. And to say that now the president should do what he's doing is the right way because he won, I don't think it's the right way to go. The presidents have done a lot of foul stuff and won in this country. That doesn't make it right or the right way to go.
I'm telling you, I believe Trump has changed the way things should be done. If you don't do it that way, you're probably going to lose if the next Republican candidate does. I'm telling you, I agree with what you're saying, the way, but what you and I are discussing, the way things used to be done. He came, he changed the game, and he won at the changes. People want what he's doing. So if you keep sticking to the old way, I think you're going to lose.
I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that's true. I believe that he is an outlier. I believe that he is an outlier, and he has been able to achieve something that nobody else can. But I don't believe that this is the new standard. That the new standard is lie, cheat, steal your way.
I didn't say do all that shit. Yeah, I didn't say do all
I'm telling you, that's what you're telling me. You saying his way of doing things is the new way, and I don't believe that is.
I'm simply saying you need to talk to the people. The people like you pressing hands and kissing babies even while you're president, not going on vacations and staying in the White House going to sleep. Get out and talk to the people. They like that shit. I think
they like that shit from Trump. They like that shit from Trump. But once we go through what we're getting ready to go through, we'll see if the people want another person like him to come behind him. I don't believe so. I believe people will, once they go through all of this turmoil, like I've said before, the United States is like an aircraft carrier. It's not a Boston whaler. You don't just turn the whole damn thing around on a dime and think everything is going to be okay. Everybody is acting like they won something, but we got to wait and see to all of this stuff. We got people, we got him bringing up white supremacists and racists and all of this stuff in his cabinet right now.
Well, the folks that are watching are going to want to know, who are you referring to that Trump is putting in there that's a white supremacist or a racist?
Pete Hegseth.
Yeah. Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, since you are a military man yourself, you mentioned the aircraft carrier being a Navy man. How do you respond to Pete Hegseth himself saying that women should not be in combat?
Well, yeah, that was something that I had been thinking about. I wanted to address with you before because I like I've been in the military.
Right.
I've been in a position of leadership, and I've been in. I came in 1990, right when women were first starting to be able to serve on board military on ships.
Okay.
Right. And we had the same thought process back then, that women are just not equipped to deal with that type of life. We underestimated them. Now they're a normal part of the military. They're on ships all around. Some of my best workers were females. I'm a diesel mechanic by trade. And yes, there were some that came in and they shied away from getting dirty and stuff, but I had a bunch of them that get down there and they was lifting up, starters, and they were doing everything that the guys were doing. So in order for me to say that women, look, the chivalry in me says, look, I don't really want women to be doing that kind of stuff. But if they go through all of the steps that it takes to do those jobs, just like you said, I know some women that are police officers, and they will jack your tail up. Yeah. And they will firemen carry your ass to the jailhouse if they have to. So saying, look, putting these limits on women and what they should and shouldn't be able to do, I do not think that's a good thing going forward for this country.
Mm. So you think even in infantrymen, in the army, and you think even on the ground as a foot soldier, they should be allowed to do that?
They've already been in combat during Desert Storm. They're in it right now.
Yeah. And
to say that they shouldn't be in something that they're already in is just, I don't understand. You can't roll back the hands of time.
The hell we can't. The hell we can't.
No, we can't. We might think we can because somebody told us we can. But we're not putting women back barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. It's just not going to happen.
I hope you're right. Denka. All right. I don't know. I mean, it's because I had a lot of MAGA. I've had women even come and tell me that what Pete Hegseth said is correct. That women, they are distracting the men and they can't drag a man off the battlefield. I've had a lot of men and women alike that agree with what he said.
Distracting to men. If somebody's shooting at us, ain't no distraction.
Well, I think the point is that if a woman gets injured or she, the damsel in distress, just like in society, if a woman is getting her ass kicked, men want to be the hero and they'll step up and try to help her. I think that's what people are saying, that the guy will have that damsel in distress mentality and maybe go out on a limb for a woman more than he would his own brother.
And, I had the same thought process, like I said, when they would come in females would come in, I would automatically, unconsciously start assigning them easier tasks and things like.
Then you're doing it.
Have them be my secretary instead of having them, run the transmission shop. But then as I started understanding, when the guys start saying, hey, if she gonna be in here, she need to be doing the same thing as I. And then I started holding their feet to the fire and saying, no, you cannot sit in the office. No, you can't come here and tell me about all your problems. You need to be out there in the engine room doing what I told you to do. Ultimately, they evolved into those positions and they became great leaders and they became great mechanics and they did everything that I was able to do. So, yeah, I get it. I do, people initially, internally, yes, we're going to have that damsel in distress. But that's because we're not allowing them to do,
to prove themselves. Yeah, it's kind of the same argument about putting African Americans, say, in positions of leadership like yourself. They had the same argument against that until you started actually proving your merit. Real quick in the comments, Will G says, as a Navy veteran that served on 2 aircraft carriers, Bush and the Roosevelt, women are good in my book to serve combat or non-combat. So but the Navy is a little different though, right? As opposed to the Marines and the Army that are on the ground.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Physical standards are physical standards. They fought for the right to become Navy SEALs. They fought the right to become Rangers. Yeah. They fought for the right to do everything that men can do. And although there's very few of them that are actually attain those positions, them people that's out there doing those missions, them females, they're doing everything that a man can do.
All right, you sound like a good case for the independent woman. I got to move it on, then, Cal. But hopefully, I'm a fan of letting women do what if they can prove their merit. I'm okay with it. I don't see an issue with it, and I don't want to take them back for the same reason I said earlier. Is that every argument we can give about why women shouldn't be in combat would apply to women as a police officer, women as a firefighter, women as a bouncer or a security guard or you could use that argument if it is actually entertained to strike women from a host of positions. Several careers will be off limits to them.
And that's why I said we cannot put them back in the kitchen. That ship has sailed.
All right. Hopefully you're right. Thank you, then, Cal. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Anytime. All right, moving on to the program. I don't think women should be in military combat, says Jim. And like I said, if we can believe and buy into that women shouldn't serve in combat, it is possible you can use the same argument towards a host of other dangerous professions. Like I mentioned, hell, if you're in a gunfight on the streets of Detroit as a cop, you're in combat. So a lot of folks may say as a male officer, I don't want a female partner. For the same reason you may claim I don't want a female in military combat. Or firefighter, I don't want to send a female in there if I need to help somebody drag somebody out of a building. So there could be a host of reasons for that. So once you take them out of the military, in my opinion, the ship is sailed. They're going to start losing other access to other careers as well. It would be, remember, women aren't supposed to be losing any rights under the Trump administration. Cave Teeth, what do you think about there being almost 20 million or less votes and also some counties still counting votes after they were told not to? Told not to by who? Who told them not to continue counting votes? Did the person that told them not to have the authority to do so? I do want to also respond to a few super chats that came in that I didn't realize. Trump will be at war with Mexico, Ukraine, etc. Really? War with Mexico? Now, Trump has talked about deeming the cartel as terrorist outfits. That's not at war with Mexico, but that could be meaning U.S. soldiers on the ground in Mexico. You ever see the movie Clear and Present Danger with, what is the guy's name? I can't even think of the guy's name anymore. But similar to that. Or Sicario. But blacks and Hispanics, what does that say? But blacks, Latino Trump voters got him in hell. I don't quite get what you mean there, Bandito. I put two people I put two and two together. Trump wants to abolish NATO and stop supporting Ukraine by making a deal. You think Trump still wants to get us out of the Ukraine? I mean, out of NATO? I don't know. I don't even know if the Republicans would support that. We know whatever deal Trump makes, we fail. Example, Taliban and Camp David before Afghanistan withdrawal. You said whatever deal Trump makes fail? You don't, Will, you don't disappoint. I don't know. I'd have to really think more into that. And by the way, I see in the comments, Bandito says police immunity and I'm black and Latino riots for sure. Yeah, if he actually does that, because Trump did promise to get police immunity from prosecution. If he actually does that, there will be major problems in liberal cities and things like that, because the liberal politicians are going to push back on them. They're passing laws already to prevent Trump from doing some of the things. Like Los Angeles has passed a law that bars police in the city of Los Angeles from working with ICE. So they're already saying if Trump comes to their cities with these hardcore anti-immigration policies, they're going to order their officers and things like that not to work with them. So I guess Trump would have to pass some federal laws that require them to do it or something of that nature. More laws will have to be passed. I'm black and Latino and I'm black and Latino, went to the store and white people sizing up what looks like they're better. I give back the looks, it will only get worse. Now, Bandito stated that he's been seeing a lot of racism today in one day. I can't speak on your own personal experience, but there are folks that have suggested that since Trump got elected, folks are coming out and about and acting in intolerant ways. We do know there were a bunch of people walking down the street. Was it in Ohio with swastikas? They did it in Nashville a couple months ago. I don't want to say that's Trump's fault, but it did happen recently where people are walking down the street openly with swastikas down major city streets. I don't know what the hell would make somebody do something so fucking stupid. If Putin advances, who will be there to stop him? If we are isolated, it will just be like World War II started for America. He's saying that if Trump does what he's saying, which is withdraw out of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, yeah, there is nobody to stop Putin. And that he will likely conquer the Ukraine, and a lot of folks in the region feel like he will do and go beyond that, which is why a lot of folks in this country, including a lot of Republicans, believe that it's in the best interest of America and the West to continue resisting against Russia with our assistance, because the Ukrainians ain't gonna be able to do it on their own. Remind me, how is MAGA making worse? Huh? Remind me, how is the Make America Great making worse? I don't get that. I don't understand the question there. You'd have to explain. You'd have to clear that one up to me. All right, let me move it on with the program. In regards to the 20 million votes, like I said, I still think there's counting to be done there. Trump, the moment he's president, since he's already accused several states and counties and officials of election fraud, once he is president and has the keys to the kingdom again, he should have to prove some of that shit he's been alleging. He should. I mean, the fact that he accused so many people of so many different felonies and crimes, like saying Obama bugged his office and all of that shit. I get that folks favor Trump for the economy and things that he's going to do for America. That's fine. But that does not mean you should just let the guy say any damn thing without simply saying, sir, could you actually show evidence that this happened? I think that that's one of the issues, is that he can make any kind of accusation. And if you support Trump, you don't really ask that he prove what he's saying. Pennsylvania Supreme Court was one of the bigger examples. Yeah. Let me go back to the box. By the way, did anybody know? I didn't talk about this as a topic. I'm going to go to my next guest. But does anybody realize that Jussie Smollett, remember the guy from the Fox television show Empire, who claimed that in the wee hours of the morning, Trump supporters wearing MAGA hats on the streets of Chicago, You don't see that shit happening in Chicago. But anyway, Trump supporters in the wee hours of the morning on the streets of Chicago attacked him and put a noose around his neck. Illinois Supreme Court just threw out his case today. On procedural grounds, apparently they had made a deal that if he paid community service or something like that, they weren't going to prosecute him, and they went back and did it anyway. Very similar to how Bill Cosby got off. Bill Cosby got off in a similar manner where they made a promise, the defendant honored his side, and the prosecutor decided to continue with the prosecution anyway. Well, anyway, Jussie Smollett, as of now, does not have a criminal record. So all of that got thrown out. DJ Julio, I don't know if he's going to get back on television anymore. I think his TV career, because of that, is over. Just because he doesn't have a criminal history doesn't mean he didn't do it, but it won't hurt him anymore. DJ Julio, good evening.
What's happening?
Hey, okay, you're here this time. So what?
Yeah, no, I was taking a piss last time.
All right, well, okay, fair enough. Only 2 months to go. How you feeling? 2 months until Trump becomes 47.
I feel like the current leadership is doing everything they can to sabotage the peaceful world.
Give me some examples.
I can give you one, and it's the only one that really matters. Sending long-range missiles into Russia, allowing that shit, sneaking the missiles over there in February, and then approving it without Congress. I mean, that kind of sounds like tomfoolery, if you know what I mean.
Well, you know, I asked that question. The same thing with this app that allows undocumented immigrants to speed up the registration. He's doing that also. I kind of asked that question because we know when Biden took office, Trump deliberately tried to spoil his term as much as possible. So is it possible that Biden is returning the favor?
A little retribution, a little political tennis. Yeah, you could probably see that. It's kind of scary because the way that Biden allowed what he allowed to put us in the middle of the Ukraine fight now, because those are American weapons. That means America has, the long-range missiles are what's making America now part of this Ukraine war.
Well, I mean, even the short-range stuff, I mean, we were helping them out regardless. I mean, long-range missile or not, most of the damage they've been able to do to the Russians have been with our help since day one.
Well, yeah, but when we go above and beyond and we're throwing bigger missiles now into Russia, we got Kamala trying to freaking talk them into the union, whatever. I mean, it just seems like a bunch of bullshit.
So what do you think we should?
A lot of people hurt.
So what do you think we should do? Just let Ukraine fall?
I'm not saying we need to let Ukraine fall, but we need to let the next administration handle it and just stay out of it until that time.
Well, we know what the next administration wants to do. Let Ukraine fall.
But we just want it to stop. And I'm pretty sure Donald Trump's going to freaking, mandate, order, whatever, however you want to say it, that, you get out of Ukraine, current border as of 2022. You get out of their borders. Ukraine stay out of your borders. They'll stay out of freaking NATO. We don't want them.
Why would Russia, if Trump is promising to get out of overseas conflicts and not send any money over to overseas anymore to other countries, why would either one of them listen to Trump? If he's going to request they do something and bring nothing to the table, why the hell would they listen to him?
The betterment. I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to piss off the big brother either.
They don't care about the big brother. They're at war. They don't give a damn about Trump. If you ain't going to do nothing to help either one of us out,
When I'm saying big brother, I'm talking about America.
I know. Well,
when I speak for Trump, I'm speaking for America, as it was mandated on the election.
If I'm at war and America does not give a damn about doing anything for me, then I don't give a damn about how America feels.
And that might be the case. And we can project and guess how it's going to happen all we want to. I just think that it was an absolute senseless waste of money on our part to now. Well, I mean, we're headed towards World War I, WW2.
I got to disagree. I don't think it was a senseless, wasteful, useful money. I think that, first of all, we have revealed Russia to be a paper tiger. They're nowhere near as strong as we thought they were before this war broke out. Nobody thought that Russia would still be at war with the Ukraine almost 3 years later, with America giving them mediocre weapons. We haven't given them F-35s or F-22s. We don't have any aircraft carriers in the region fighting on their behalf. Yet, with the little stuff we've did for them, they've been able to resist Russia for 3 years. Nobody ever expected that to happen. So the money was worth it for the simple fact that it has revealed Russia, outside of nuclear weapons, to be a much weaker country than anybody ever thought. Who would have expected that they would have had to import soldiers from North Korea to deal with the Ukraine?
Well, I mean, he's probably getting down into his reserves. He doesn't want to get into his reserves, so he's got to borrow. He's got to borrow from somebody, which is scary in itself. That is North Korea. I mean, North Korea and Russia and China. So 2 of the 3 biggest threats to America. Now we have provoked them. Now we have provoked them all with these long-range missiles, and that's what I'm talking about as far as the senseless waste of money.
I don't think it's a waste.
Those bombs those 8 bombs or whatever, the 16 bomb. What did they send? 8, 16?
Yeah, I don't know what the number is.
Whatever it is, I mean, it's gone ahead and said, okay, you guys want to jump into this war, America? Good. Now I'm going to use bigger missiles. Now I'm going to use nuclear-capable missiles. Now I'm going to extend, and now you picked on the bully, and the bully don't know how to fight right, so now he's going to come out bringing all of his guns.
Well, you ever heard of the phrase, give me liberty or give me death? Right now, Russia's using bigger rockets against the Ukraine, but if we didn't give the Ukrainians assistance, they would be using smaller ordinances, but they would be further into the Ukraine. Getting killed is getting killed. Don't matter if it's by a 22 or a 50 caliber.
I agree that they're an ally, so we need to protect them. I don't disagree with keeping them off their borders. The missiles that were keeping them out of the border. I don't disagree with that. I'm talking about the shit that happened in the last 2 weeks.
Well,
like what in the hell? There was no reason. The
reason is Trump, Julio.
Especially after Putin was saying, "I'm ready to come to the table," and then you allow him to use bigger missiles, Ukraine, and bomb Russia. Now you just took Russia off the table.
Because nobody believes Russia was going to come to the table. I think that's the problem. And one of the things I want to point out, you and I both mentioned North Korean soldiers in Russia. Remember how much folks, particularly folks like yourself and MAGA, celebrated how great it was for Trump to meet with Kim Jong-un of North Korea and how that was an accomplishment? Notice how quick he got into this war against the United States. So clearly that meeting between him and Trump meant nothing, because he didn't have any reason at all to decide to help Russia. He just did it.
It has nothing to do with Trump. It has everything to do with the current administration.
That ain't what I said. That ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
it's not what you said, but that's the truth.
What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. Kim Jong-un wasn't going to get into probably any war. Now that America's jumped in, he's like, okay, I'm in. And it's because we have a weak administration that has no brass for balls.
All of the Russian, they've kicked so much Russian ass that they got to import folks from North Korea, as you say, is getting down to his reserves. The notion that Biden is a weak administration makes no sense. Russia should have been done with the Ukraine in 6 months if Biden was a weak administration.
You think a strong administration does it with firepower? I would agree that when it's time to fight, then we fight. We should have never given them long-range missiles unless we're ready to put boots on the ground.
I'm just going to say
we just proxied ourselves into a fucking war over some missiles.
I'm just going to say you don't kick Russia's ass with a weak administration. I'm just simply saying not only are we hurting Russia, but we're doing it rock'em sock'em style. Remember the old rock'em sock'em robots? We're not even using our own hands to do it. We're using the Ukrainians to kick Russia's ass. That ain't the work of a weak administration. They're kicking your ass with somebody else.
It absolutely is.
No.
It absolutely is. We are using somebody else's lives to fight a war with Russia to weaken Russia. If that's seriously the case, that's even bigger pussy than I thought it was.
So let me ask you this question. I asked this to a lot of folks who suggest that Biden is a part of a weak administration. If Russia had seen Biden as a weak leader, decided to invade the Ukrainians, which is what he did, and Biden took the Trump approach, the MAGA approach, hands off, we're not going to waste money on this, we're not going to put American lives at risk, and let Russia conquer the Ukrainians, what would MAGA have said if Russia became a bigger, stronger nation under Biden's watch? How do you think MAGA would have handled it then?
We're going to handle it the same way we did.
That ain't what I'm at. You didn't answer the question, though.
I did. I said we'd handle it the same way we are now. We'd be pissed off that we have a weak administration. A weak administration would allow Russia to invade Ukraine. A strong one would keep them at the border, which is what Trump did for 4 years. He kept everybody at their own borders.
So Biden is going to look weak no matter what.
Yeah, this administration is fucked no matter what. They fucked themselves from front and back.
Well,
and you know what? You know how that is, whether it's in business, politics, or in a friendship. If
so then,
the friendship, you ruin all your good access and you ruin all your bad access.
So if what you're saying is true, that this administration is fucked no matter what, at least they can now say we might be fucked, but there's a hell of a lot of dead Russians because of us. So fuck around with that. I mean, can you see that?
What they're gonna say is, yeah, we're a weak administration, and now we have to put boots on ground because fucking we're worrying about two major superpowers instead of just one. Now we have to. Now MAGA has to. Now the Republicans have to stand up and fight. We have to. We have no choice.
Bro,
they have brought us into World War III and given us no choice but to participate now.
World War III did not happen. If you want to say World War III, then you got to blame the Russians. Biden didn't attack any damn body. If World War III breaks out, it's because of what Russia did, not what Biden did. Russia decided. Yeah. So why are we blaming Biden?
That's the exact problem with what the left is seeing right now. Biden did attack Russia.
No, he did not.
He gave them the long range. The second he gave them the more sophisticated missiles, our American sophisticated missiles, not just our little bombs, not just our little scuds, but some actual fucking knock your socks off weapons. Now that Biden has done that, he has entered America into this. 100%.
Okay.
We are no worse, no better than Ukraine. We are just as guilty as Ukrainians, just as guilty as the Russians, just as guilty as the North Koreans if they start firing shots.
So who was the victim? Who got attacked?
Ukraine is definitely a victim in this, but we're not a victim in this. We went in and said, you know what? You guys were fighting. You had a little skirmish. It's not good. You haven't given up any land, but now we're going to give you missiles that go 200 miles into their freaking property, and we're going to bomb them there, and we're going to take land from them.
They've already
it's bullshit.
They've already taken Georgia in 2008, Crimea in 2014. What do you mean they're not taking any land this time yet? And that's because of Russia.
Look what the Democrats have done. And look what the Democrats have done 13 times, moving close with NATO to fucking Russia's borders. We are in this situation because of the left side. We are worse in this situation because of the left side, and I ain't crying. Now I tell you, they bring this to the homelands. My family's ready. We were out practicing shooting all day yesterday.
You ready to take on some Russian military equipment? Your family is.
I'm ready to take on anybody that steps foot on my property, live or die. I'm not staying up.
Yeah, it sounds like something I heard David Koresh say before he got set on fire, but hopefully it doesn't go that way. Red Dawn was a long time ago.
Those files are coming out too. That was the FBI bullshit too.
Well, they fought back and died. That's all I'm saying. All right, Julio, I got to move it on, but
we don't want to talk about women. What else are we talking about? Is that what we're talking about? Is one thing?
Yeah, I mean,
already.
No, you spoke.
I'm getting a headache because of me nowadays.
Now, my audience have a love-hate relationship with you. My MAGA folks like you. My left-wingers don't like you. But
the left-wingers love to hate me.
Yeah, before I move it on from you, because you mentioned women, how do you feel about Trump's Secretary of Defense claiming that women shouldn't be in combat?
I'm tossed. I was tossed. Even when listening to your other callers, I was leaning a little more away from the right on that one. If women want to be equal to men, I agree that they have every opportunity to prove so long as that they can pass all the rigorous tests that go along with it. If you make it through all the freaking trainings, come fight with me, stand with me. I'll protect you. You protect me. But I do agree. I don't want a 120-pound girl trying to pull my 210-pound ass out of a hole if I can't move.
Okay.
Because chances are that might not happen.
That might be challenging. I get it. All right, fair enough. Then you don't side with the, I mean, because that's his Secretary of Defense saying that, so you don't side with that. So that's one separation.
I'm not 100% on that side. No, I'm not 100%. I lean a little more. I'm about 51-49, leaning towards the not agreeing.
Let me ask you this: if he was to do that, if for some reason that the Secretary of Defense basically operating under MAGA, if the Trump administration was to do that, would you consider that as women losing rights?
No.
If they could,
because the military is a different organism. It's a completely different thing. Now we're looking at what. I don't know the strength of my military because I don't watch it train. I don't know the strength of my military. I don't watch my military train. I don't know how strong they really are. I don't know what it's in there. Now, if they're starting to see women as a liability because of the situations we've talked about, pulling people out, carrying a man across the field, doing whatever it takes, maybe they can do some things, but maybe they can't do all of it.
So if they were to somehow prevent women from serving in combat, you would not see that as women losing rights?
No.
Wow. All right. All right.
I mean, that's the same thing if they were to say that they don't want cis or trans or LGBTQ XYZ LMNOP. If they don't want them in there, maybe they have their reasons. And if they're defending my freedoms, I want you to be as confident in your people as you have to be.
That sounds like.
And if you're not confident in your people, they don't belong there.
That sounds more like confident in sexism and misogyny to me. But all right, I gotta move it on, man.
I will do this. You know what we got to start doing as America is really take it for what it's worth. If you think you're a badass and you deserve everything a man can do, I want you to find a woman your exact weight, your exact height. I'll do the same, and we can have a battle royale, men versus women. Chances are the women are going to be on top, and that right there would tell you why you don't want women in war. Now that's the side of me that says I haven't found a woman bigger than me, stronger than me. I've seen women that can lift heavier weights than me, but in a boxing ring, they've never beaten me.
All right.
What does that say? I mean, I want us to fight. Women, we need you here to reproduce when all of us men go to war. So please stay home. Take care of the house. Listen, if we lose all our women, we ain't reproducing. This world's done anyway. We can do it with a handful of men.
I can't believe you just said that. Wow.
We can't do that with a handful of women. We can't reproduce and replenish this earth if it goes bad with a handful of women. We can with a handful of men. We need a lot of women because we don't want a lot of that incest going on. You know what I'm saying?
This conversation got dark as fuck. I can't believe you just said that. God. All right, Julio.
I'm not saying the woman's place is in the home, but in wartime, they don't belong where we're fighting. They don't.
Wow. All right, man. I gotta go. Appreciate it as always. You just teed off half my audience. God. You know what this remind me of?
Thanks for listening.
You know what you said remind me of when the mob bosses would go and have their sit down and talk, and they would get the women out the room like, this ain't where you need to go in the kitchen and go make us something to eat or go, and they would say when men are handling business, the women have no place in it. That's kind of what you made it sound like. Is you're almost giving men a hierarchy.
90%, I would say 90% of women in a chaos situation are running, whereas 90% of men are going to stand and stop whatever's coming.
So men are just more tougher than women or something?
Men are built to be stronger than women, yes. Physiologically, metabolically, down to the genetics, we are built different than women because we are meant to be hunters. We are meant to be fighters, to protect the family, to provide for the household, to build you your house that you want to live in. That's our job.
What about the notion that women, because they're different than men, as you're saying, if they were in charge, you probably would have less wars because women are better at talking than grabbing a damn gun and trying to shoot it out. Women might be willing to show up, and you don't agree with that.
No, I don't agree with women. I'm surrounded by women in my house, Tim. I know for a fact they don't handle stress. I know for a fact that Any age, 18, 24, 27, 45, 43. Those are the women's ages that come to my house. Not to even bring my grandkids into this. None of them together combined, if I'm trying to leave the house or come into the house, will stop me from coming into the house. That scares me. I don't want my children to be that weak. So now my children all know how to shoot guns.
Yeah. So women are not good at handling stress. That's what you said.
Different stress. Men and women deal with shit differently across the board on everything, whether it's bills, whether it's fighting, whether it's stress at work.
What about de-escalating hostile situations? Are women better at that than men?
When have you ever stood your ground to a woman in your life, stood for what you believed was true and good for you?
Plenty of times.
Well, I can tell you that when we have a strong disagreement, there's usually a woman yelling when I'm around.
All right, I got to move it on. Julio, it's always a pleasure. You pissed off half my audience.
You know what? And I'm pissed off that I have to say that people don't already know that half of the shit that I said is already true.
They don't know
Look
it.
at women and men, and I'm just going to say this to everybody listening, yourself included. Look up the metabolic differences between men and women, what we are built for genetically, and that right there will tell you everything that you need to know.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to program. Now, I will say, I want to respond to a few super chats. I will say I disagree with him on a little bit of that, or actually a lot of that. If I can put on my spectacles, because this iPhone I got, the damn screen is not as bright, and I got to figure out how to work the iPhone. Trump let Taliban fighters free on the deal at Camp David before the withdrawal in Afghanistan. That's why the Afghanistan people were holding on to the planes as we were. Oh, wow, because when we left, that's the Biden, but they're blaming the bad evacuation on Biden. You're saying that Trump let Taliban fighters free. Yeah, he did make a deal with the Taliban. That is true. That is true. And at the end of the day, the Taliban went right back to oppressing people in Afghanistan the same way they were before we ever came over there. Bottom line, Trump is afraid of Russia. Based on what? You're saying Trump is afraid of Russia. I'd like to know why, Bandito. If we let bullies, what does that say? Is if we let bullies foster and take resources, we deal with a bigger bully later on. Fair enough. I don't disagree with that. This is what happens when we let ignorance and incompetence win elections. We are about to be in a world of trouble. I don't know if we let them win. More Americans voted for Trump than they did Kamala Harris. We wanted Trump back. Trump hasn't done anything that he didn't promise, in my opinion. Most of the stuff people were fearful of Trump about, he promised it, and people still voted for him. Got more of the women's vote. Hispanics voted for him in high numbers. People wanted Trump back. Bandito says this country will get worse from 2025 for 4 years. Not a lot of love for Trump on my YouTube. By the way, tap the screen. We might be able to get up to 100,000 in the like department. If some of you guys would tap the screen on TikTok, smash that like button on YouTube, get us up to 100. Democrats casually cheering on the deaths of millions in forever wars while trying to be moral superior. Cave Teeth, you're saying the Democrats are casually cheering on the deaths of millions in a forever war. I suppose you forgot about Iraq. That was a genuine forever war lasting about a generation, and that was started by a Republican. So you're saying that the Democrats are cheering the deaths of, you forgot about George W. Bush, huh? Sid, Tim, wars make weapon-making companies rich. Fact. Politicians get a kickback. Fact. We fight over a piece of land. Often factual. Why does America always need enemies and wars? Because we are the world's largest exporter of weapons, and you are correct. We make a ton of money when there are wars. There's very few wars on earth that America is not some way, somehow involved in. You ever see the movie with Nicolas Cage, Lord of Wars? America's like his character in that movie, where we do love selling arms to both sides. And one of the benefits of always being involved in wars, you will always have demonstrations to show potential buyers of how well your weapons work. There's probably a lot of new shit being tested out in the Ukraine, like drones and things like that, that we can go on and sell to other future buyers to show Not only are we going to tell you the specs of this, but look on your video monitor. Here's some Russian soldiers being killed by this. So I agree with everything you just said there. It is a fact that we make a ton of money off war and have a legitimate financial reason to continue to promote them. And G, 2020, Biden got 81 million to Trump's 74 million. 2024, Trump got 76 million, which means he increased by 2.7 million to Harris's 74 million, and both 1.5 million to other candidates. That's about 5 million less. Where do you get 20 million from? I don't have an answer for that. I do not have an answer for that. And because votes are still being counted, we will see. But I will say this, that's something I always say. Just because there are things that look suspicious in an election does not equate to Democrats had to cheat. That's what happened in the 2020 election. The Republicans assumed everything that looked suspicious meant Democrats were cheating, even though Republicans were pleading guilty to doing so. Real quick in the comments, this is one of the guys. This is one of the guys I don't know what you're saying. They get indoctrinated when they see a strong woman. Get intimidated. Oh, this is one of the guys that get intimidated when they see a strong woman. That does happen. I don't know quite what you're talking about, but that does happen. Let me go back to the box. Gen X, fuck around and find out. Good evening, Gen X. Now, Gen X, if Gen X comes up, now Gen X, you stated yesterday, you are one of the ones that believe women do not have a place in combat, correct?
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And why do you think that's a problem, considering that they have already been in combat almost a generation now and have proven their merit?
I don't think it's a problem at all. I stand by it 100%, and I'll stand by it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now.
Why do you think? But why do you personally believe that women should not be in combat? What are your reasons for why you say that?
Well, some of the same reasons I told you yesterday, Tim. I don't think they're as physically capable as men. You can train. There's women that are more capable than I am at this point in my life, but I'm a little old, out of shape. But in my prime, when I was in my early 20s, mid-20s, early 30s, a woman her body's not made to go through the grueling torture that a man's body can go through.
Grueling. You do realize women have kids. They're pregnant for 9 months. You realize how torturous that shit is? You don't think women can go through torture?
No, I don't. I think we're talking about two different animals here. Childbearing and trying to drag somebody out of a foxhole that's twice your weight when you got bullets flying everywhere, or trying to get somebody twice your weight out of a burning building down a ladder is there's a big difference there. There's a huge difference there.
Now, you mentioned trying to get somebody out of a burning building on a ladder, because when we talked yesterday, I did say that if we believe women shouldn't be in combat, you could use that same justification to say women shouldn't be able to be cops or state troopers or firefighters or security guards or bouncers in clubs. Do you believe what I'm saying is accurate?
No.
So the reason you just gave for why women cannot be or should not be in combat, you don't see those same reasons potentially applying to why women shouldn't be a cop?
Well, some of them, yeah, but you're talking war. And look, I don't think women should be cops or firemen. Now, do I think there's a place for them with administrative duties and things like that? Absolutely. But out on the field, in the field, on the field, performing physical feats that are made for men? No, I don't think they have a fair advantage. And if that were so, then the Marine Corps and the Armed Forces wouldn't hold them to a lower standard during the physical training part of their boot camp and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but then how do you respond to women that would suggest if someone like you or Pete Hegseth of Trump administration, if they get their way, women are losing all kinds of rights under Trump, because all of these careers you're starting to chop off all of these different jobs that they normally may have had a career. I mean, there are women who have retired from the military, who have retired from the police force, who have retired from the firefighter department, and all of a sudden now they can't. Their daughters or their offspring cannot get those jobs because of the mindset you have. How do you respond to women that believe they're losing rights like that?
Because there's a big difference between making a decision to take someone's rights or restrict somebody's rights, and making the decision to not only protect them, but protect their, the people that they work with, and that they're obligated to save and assist during certain aspects of their tasks. I don't see that trying to save someone's life is taking their rights. Look, I'll use the same example again. If a woman comes up and tries to get me out of a 40-foot window, or you for that matter, she might kill both of us. How's that fair to her? Is it more humane to not put her in that situation in the first place? Or to say, oh, well, no, you're equal rights. You go ahead and do it, baby. If you fall and kill the guy you're trying to help, so be it. But you have the equal rights.
Yeah, but what about the
sense, man?
I understand some women are weaker than men. I'm not denying that. But if the woman can take the what do you call it, the physical assessment, and she can pass it, why does simply her having a vagina mean she can't get the gig? There are men that don't pass the physical test as well, but they can actually try out because they have a penis, but because she has a vagina, the whole position is off limits to her. There are some strong women out there.
But that's not the case, Tim. That's not what's happening. Let's take the Navy SEALs, for example. There's a reason that there are no female Navy SEALs. They cannot pass the physical aspects of that training. They can't do it. They physically cannot do it. And let's say, I won't say all. Let's say 1 or 2 out of 100,000 can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're going to waste all that money on training 50,000 people to figure out only 2 can do it? That doesn't make financial sense. That's just dumb, man.
I don't know. I mean, you would close off women to a lot of professions. I guess SWAT teams, for instance, no women can. I mean, because a lot of those positions have that stressful test you're talking about. And if you're saying that, women get chopped off from all of this stuff because we don't want to waste money testing them, how are women supposed to view that?
If me and you were behind a wall and we're firefighting and we got bullets flying back and forth, okay, and you get shot in the arm, I'm going to worry about you getting dragged to safety by a woman, and that's going to take my mind off of my game, okay? The most important person to me is the guy to my right and the guy to my left. If you're hurt, I've got an obligation to save your life because I know you would do it for me. Now, if I put that obligation on someone else, and God forbid we lost her and you, that's not okay. When she could just as easily, during that firefight, pop her head and say, hey, boys, I got some tuna fish here and some Kool-Aid. You guys hungry? All right, I'll be back. Let me know.
I don't agree with you, but the way you're orating it is actually not bad. I mean, I just don't agree with you. Oh, wow. So I don't even know where to go with this shit. So, I mean, just knowing that women could get chopped off in all of these positions and not be able to. Let me ask you this question. Now, we're talking about positions where a woman doesn't measure up to the standards of that where men can do, so women don't qualify for these positions. Are there any positions that a woman can do that a man would not measure up to, in your opinion?
I believe maybe in the intelligence or espionage, because women are sneaky fuckers, man. They'll find shit out. You know what I mean? They find some shit out. So yeah, I think that we should build on their strengths, not their. I'm not going to say weaknesses, because I would call it a liability, a physical liability. Women are cognitively stronger than men. They're smarter than me. I haven't been able to figure them out. You know what I mean? And I think, we can utilize their strengths, but to expose their weaknesses that endangers them and someone else, I think there's a better way, man. I just do.
All right. Like I said, I'm not quite there with you, but I like the way you described it. I can't. Normally, I can finagle it a bit. I think you did a pretty good job there, even though I don't want the world you're suggesting, but you explained it fairly well. So
I was a little more amped up when I wanted to come on earlier when I first put it in. Right after that rocket scientist Michael got on, the other flat earther, your buddy Tim's long lost cousin. Dude, 1% of it.
You're talking about the guy that said only 1% of pregnancy terminations are due to women using it as birth control. You disagree with that?
I don't have it. What hurt me more is Dinkow and what was the other gentleman's name? Dinkow and Stick the Ruler came on and half-ass agreed with them, and I kind of like those guys. I was like, man, you guys are fucking with me. You guys are fucking with me. Got me to yell at my phone in the hospital like a crazy man.
If you had to guess, now we obviously have no numbers in front of us, but if you had to guess, what percentage do you believe of women that are terminating pregnancy simply due to elective or using it as birth control? What 1% is too low for you, I take it. If you just guess, because we don't know the actual answer, what would you speculate and guess? How high you think it is?
Well, I got the numbers right here in front of me. Not financially prepared, not a good time. Issues with partner, it's about 56%. Need to focus on other children, interfere with future plans, not emotionally or mentally prepared. Unable to provide a good life is about 42%. Health issues, rape and incest is under 3% combined. Influence from family or friends, not independent or mature enough, and that's at about 21%. So
Source.
21 to 19.
Source. Where are those numbers coming from?
It's called Very Well Health. All I did was I got on Google and I put on, why do people have abortions? And it's got all kinds of background. I'm pretty sure these guys are not stacking the numbers. Updated on August 7, 2023.
Are they wearing red hats?
I'm sorry?
Are they wearing red hats? Said these guys. I'm just joking with you. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, because a lot of women are probably not going to be candid about it. So I don't know how accurate the numbers are, but I just wanted to ask you the source of it. But all right, 1% seemed low to me, but I got hammered by my audience saying that's about accurate. That did seem kind of low to me too.
Yeah, that's way low. Yeah. I know this, that pregnancies that are a result of rape, pregnancy termination, it's under 5%. And the same thing with the life of the mother. So let's put that at 10%, which says that over 87% of all pregnancies are a form of birth control. They're done out of convenience and not medical necessity. That's what I have a problem with. Wow. I'm willing to have a conversation on the other stuff. Even though it's I got the numbers right here too. And there's 170 out of 680,000 people, women in 2023 had issues, what you were talking about last week, where they're in the parking lot begging for care. It's under 2% of the times that happens. It doesn't happen a lot. Should it ever happen? Absolutely not. That's horrible.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Appreciate it. I got to look up and see because like I said, the source of those numbers is very important, because right-wing sources and left-wing sources are going to be totally different. But Gen X, I thought it was high. I think it's more than 1% too. That seemed very low to me too, but I'm a man, so I don't know what the hell's going on, and I am pro-choice, but 1% seemed really low to me. But thank you for coming through as always. Always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Brother, have a great Thursday night. Julio, holla, baby. Holla, Julio.
I gotta go. Real quick, I wanted to respond to a super chat. Did we forget that Republicans started the federal wars? Yeah, I mentioned that. Fucking glasses are dirty as hell. I mentioned that with the Iraq War, that Republicans, the idea that Democrats are starting forever wars, and folks are totally forgetting Remember Cindy Sheehan or the Dixie Chicks who were speaking out against the Iraq War and how the right treated them like shit? Said that they were unpatriotic, didn't love the country. So the right has started some forever wars too. Real quick, MAGA anti-war my ass. They're asking for civil war this time. And that was a lot of talk about that before the election. Oh, surely a bullshit stat. You talk about the stats are bullshit that my last guest said about the women. I don't know what the stats are, women, in regards to women terminating pregnancies, but I will say 1% seem very, very low. And I agree with JC in the comments says, doesn't matter, it's my choice regardless. I agree. I've seen, you see a picture of a woman pregnant and you see what it does to her belly, or you see how a woman looks after being pregnant and all the permanent changes to her body. I don't believe I have any damn right to tell a woman she has to go through that. I just don't believe it's my right to get involved in that at all. I mean, not to mention some women die in childbirth. Alter ego. Wow. I feel touched a galaxy. Damn, I haven't seen that in so long. Wow, thank you. Thank you very much, Alter Ego. Appreciate that. Pro-life equals modern day slavery, says CB187. I don't want to say it equals modern day slavery because the situation is optional. You don't have to get in a position where you're making a choice between pro-life and pro-choice. Slavery is something you're born into. You don't have a choice between it. So this is a preventable crossroads that you don't have to get to. There are ways to prevent from getting to this point. I'm not a fan of a staunch pro-life society, though, because it is hard on women, but I don't know if I'll put it up in the category of being slavery, but it is bad. I don't favor it. Most women that have gone through an AB get messed up psychologically. I don't know if I agree with that, Mark. You're saying that most women that terminate a pregnancy, it's psychologically, it messes them up. I not only do I don't necessarily agree with that, I know people that have done it, and they are normal, at least on the outside. I think some women, yeah, it does, but I think other women can do it in their sleep. Just like some men can come home from war and they're messed up for life. Other people come home and like, shit, you need me to kill anybody else? It doesn't affect everybody the same. I don't buy into the notion that every woman that does it is psychologically screwed up. I think it is an individual thing for each woman. DNCs and miscarriages are part of that number he listed. Oh, really? Well, like I said, I'd have to see the source of the numbers. You just don't know because people are trying to prove a point in this political environment. So you don't know where the numbers are coming from because just like when we talk about illegal immigrants and how much crime they've committed, if you get numbers from the right, you would say that everybody illegally that comes in the country is out murdering people. As Trump said, they're not even sending us anything but rapists and murderers. I assume they're sending good people is what he said. That's not true, though. So if you get numbers from the right, they're going to back up what he said. If you get numbers from the left, not so much. Continuing on with the program, Lewis, one of my subscribers. Good evening, Lewis. Welcome to the program. If it brings you up. Lewis, good evening. I think Lewis has stepped away. All right, we'll move it on. We tend to get a subscribers first digs. I do appreciate the few that do that. So we'll move on to Gerald MC. What's that MAGA gang in there? Gerald MC. Good evening. Those who are pro-life are against having a living wage. That is true. That many of the same folks that are pro-life are against minimum wage increase, food stamps, any type. Most of the folks on the right are against most social programs, other than maybe helping out veterans, which those social programs are exactly what the women in a pro-life environment are going to need. If you're going to make the woman have a kid, she might need some assistance, and you're against the assistance. It is a contradiction, in my opinion. You're going to pass laws that are likely to guarantee more babies are being born by mothers that don't want the babies. So they're either going to need assistance or the babies are going to end up in foster care, which needs tax money as well. And you're passing zero reforms and programs to help that or address that concern. I'll go back to the box as my last caller trap, but I will say this. My humble opinion is this. Just like when men were constantly having children they could not afford and the children were being placed on welfare, society did not want all of these men being irresponsible and having kids they could not afford and society having to take care of them by means of tax money. They started going out and punishing the dads. That's where all the child support laws came up, where you can lock folks up for not paying and all of that shit. That's likely to happen to women. I strongly believe that in pro-life states, if you got women that are popping out a bunch of kids they can't afford, and either the woman wants to put the kid on welfare or the woman's kids are in foster care, you got 5 kids in foster care and you making, you're not even employed, I do believe somehow, some way, they're going to start passing laws. Jay Evans, yeah, appreciate the hat and mustache. I do believe they're going to be passing laws to take punitive measures against sexually irresponsible women. I don't want to go as far as saying jail or sterilization, but I'm not going to take it off the table. Certainly, look, at the end of the day, you got too many damn kids, and we're not for social programs, and you don't pop out a bunch of kids that need social assistance. We got to stop you some kind of way. Some might say minority women even more so. We'll see, though. It would be great if they actually locked up the men that have kids that they are not taking care of, says See-Me. Well, for all you women that have been favoring all of these tough punishments for men that are irresponsible fathers, as Batman or as the Joker once said, where did they get a load of me? Once you start falling in that category, let's see how much you favor that stuff. You want the man that doesn't pay child support to be locked up. You want it, all of the punishments that come along with it. Well, now that they've banned terminating pregnancies, and all of these women that told you up front they don't want a baby is being forced to carry that baby to term, when they start being just as irresponsible as the men, let's see how much women support locking them up, because that's likely what's going to start happening. Let me go back to the box. They say what goes around comes around. I think that's the way that goes. We'll try it again with Lewis. Damn, Tim, that was quick. Well, I brought you up. You weren't there. Lewis.
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Shit, good to have you. I had you on, and you had stepped away.
Yeah, you kind of threw me off on that one. Yeah, I did step away for a second there. I was running over in the kitchen to try to stop that damn dog from barking. Yeah, I wanted to just say, number one, when these guys come up that don't have any military experience and they start talking about how women don't cut the mustard and all that, and there is one woman who has, since they approved for women to try out for the Navy SEALs, that did complete the training. Oh. So there are women who are Navy SEALs, but they haven't been assigned to any unit yet, because they do have to find the right placement for them. But one female just graduated in 2016. Wow. The Navy SEALs is just like the Special Forces for the Army. It's not something that you can ask for. The Navy SEALs come looking for you. Oh. Once you meet all the qualifications, have all of the trainings that you need, they come looking for you. Well, let's be clear. Let's be clear. The Navy SEALs is also an extreme example. You could be a very efficient Navy man, or you could be an efficient soldier or sailor or whatever, and spend a whole career and never qualify for the Navy SEALs. That's like the cream of the crop. You don't need to be at that level to participate. What he was saying about, why would you spend all that money and only 1 or 2 make it? What you have to remember is that a Navy SEAL class starts out with, let's just say, 1 squadron or whatever. They start out with 200 people. You know how many actually probably graduate? About a dozen. Exactly, maybe a little more than that, but that's the numbers are astonishing. So not every male, and trust me, and I know 110-pound male soldiers that can't pull your big ass out of a foxhole teeth. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's definitely discrimination, and these guys' opinions are just what they call toxic masculinity, misogyny. That's all it is. It's just toxic. They're toxic because they're the guys who thinking that they're bigger and stronger than women. I mean, I'd like to see one of them climb up in the ring with China and talk about they can whoop her ass.
Oh, you talking about the wrestler Lake China? Well, she's deceased. I know you're talking about though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying when she was alive. So
right.
There are some women that even what's her name?
Ronda Rousey.
That. Yeah.
I think Ronda Rousey could probably beat a lot of dudes too.
She did beat some guy in the ring for a fight. She did beat him.
Yeah.
She choked him out. She choked his ass out. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you're talking about, I wouldn't send a 110-pound fireman to go up into a building to bring out a 210-pound guy. So if you send somebody to go do something like that, you're a bad manager.
Well, wait a minute though. If there's you show up to a fire call and your job is to go in and check and see if there's anybody in there, you might not know it's a 210-pound guy in there.
But I'm saying if they send her in, she probably can do it.
Yeah, we want to think that.
I wouldn't send that person in knowing that they can't bring somebody out if they're in there.
Yeah, I went on a date once with a female firefighter, and I'm 6'6", and she was looking me dead in the eye. We could stand up, and she was face to face. Like, damn, you want a kiss? I'm like, whoa. So most of them are pretty big, I would assume, if they're going to do that gig.
You don't even try to get a job like that unless you know that you can compete and do the job. That's the thing right there. They think even if she is 110 pounds, she's 110 pounds of dynamite. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. She thinks she can do that job, and she's willing to do it, and would be pissed off if you told her that she couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
So unlike my last caller, unlike Gen X, so you do think
I've been in charge of a lot of soldiers, and I'm telling you something. When I had female soldiers in charge of me, one of my best soldiers, she was a staff sergeant. She was one of my best sergeants. And when I had a really hard task for the women and the men, the women usually finish those tasks way quicker than men do, and because men try to use muscles instead of their brains. Let me give you a perfect example of that. If I'm bringing in brand new wall lockers, and anybody will tell you a wall locker can weigh anywhere. The new ones that they have that are fireproof and all that can weigh up to 400 pounds. And if I tell one of my female sergeants that they need to change out all those old wall lockers and bring all new ones into the building, okay? The men will hump those freaking wall lockers up 4 flights of stairs. 3 guys or 4 guys trying to take a wall locker up 4 flights of stairs, where a woman will go to the motor pool, get a lift, and bring them in through the top window on the 2nd floor and be done in half the time. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow. So women are more... Go ahead.
They're more conscious. And not only that, I think it's time, and this is what I feel about far as women with everything. I think it's time. This country needs nurturing. This country needs a healing. And men are not good at that.
I tend to agree with that. That's what I've been saying in regards to women not having these positions. I think we're focusing on the fact that it could be violent, or you need muscle, or you need strength. Nobody's thinking from a standpoint of de-escalation.
T, let me tell you something. When you hear a combat soldier telling you that he needs to, and there's one person on this line that's always talking about KILL, the enemy, and all that stuff. Well, the way I was taught, and I was pretty high powered. I'm not going to blow no smoke up your ass or nothing like that. But 21 years in the military, 18 Delta, we were always on the go. We were always in, from Bosnia to this, to that, to this right here. But we really did everything in our power to keep from having to KILL someone.
Right.
We did less of that than the guys who actually shouldn't have been doing that. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'd rather wound you and have 5 or 6 of your buddies have to carry you away from there than me killing you and them leaving you and coming after my ass.
Yeah.
That's what you're taught when you get to special warfare kind of stuff. Is you don't always have to use bronze. You don't always have to use extreme violence. You know how to do it, but that part of you is easy. The part of avoiding that is the hard part. Getting the mission accomplished with less of that is the way you want to do it. And that's what I think women would do. Women would get the mission done with less of that they're talking about.
Well, and you would have been a great counter to Gen X, because even though I don't agree with what he was saying, I told him the way he was orating wasn't bad.
Absolutely. No question about it. He was definitely articulate, and he definitely sounded like Hell, I don't usually get too much sense out of a redneck mega guy. But my thing is, I gotta admit, he definitely. I can see why those. See, I'm gonna tell you something. Trump is not very intelligent, but he is smart. I'm gonna tell people.
You got it. What the hell does that mean? Not very intelligent, but he is smart. What does that mean?
Intelligence is something you get in a classroom from books. Smarts is what you get from experience on the streets and dealing with people straight up, right on the point. He's not very intelligent. Let's just be for real. The motherfucker probably can't do multiplication tables. But my thing is right here. But I bet you he knows how to count money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So my thing is that what I mean by that is that Trump has learned how to brainwash people. Trump is in charge. Trump is doing some cult following stuff, man. I mean, there's no way logically to explain that. After all the stuff that this guy's done, for people to still be after him, do you know what I'm saying?
I don't. You know, I've had a million shows on that. I don't understand how. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that that there may not be some. I don't want to say witch hunts, but there are people that don't like Trump and don't have his best interest at heart. But the idea that he is innocent of everything, that doesn't make sense.
There's just no way. Mostly all that stuff from the past, I think that's grasping for straws. I'm talking about even going back to Jean Carroll. But nobody made him do that to that woman, and I don't think she was lying. I don't care what nobody says. I don't think she was lying because there's other women who have said the same thing. He's done it to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just that their statutes has ran out. That's just the bottom line on it. He just did it to someone who finally said they're going to do it. And in his own words, he says he does it. You heard him in his own words say that he grabs him like he won't, he can do what he wants to. So my thing is, did he do that? Yes. Did he take those documents and then go on and give them back? He did that.
Yeah, he did do that.
Did he tell those guys to go down to the Capitol and fight? If you don't fight like hell, you'll lose your country.
Well, no, wait. Giuliani is the one that said fight like hell. Trump said the peacefully and patriotic part.
Well, but when Trump sent them, that's where he broke the law at, because he only had a permit.
Yeah, he didn't. His permit didn't.
Had a permit for
that is true.
Had a permit for the lips.
Yeah, that is true.
So he broke the law when he sent them down there. That's where he broke the law at. That's where he could be accused. That's where he's going to eventually have to pay the piper for that.
You really think that eventually he's going to have to pay for any of this stuff? Really?
I think all the state stuff, yes.
No. That guy is going to literally be a wealthy old man, and he's not going to. I don't think that guy's going to pay. I doubt if even Jean Carroll, Letitia James get hardly anything out of that. I think just about everything he's dealing with, because he's the commander in chief again, that shit's going to go away. And once he serves his second term, and nobody is.
I think you're right about that, T. I mean, I don't know why I'm calling you T.
Don't worry about it. You good. You good.
Tim, and we called him T.
You good.
But we called him T, and I know your name is Tim, so that's why I did that.
Don't worry.
But my thing is like this. Is that it ain't over yet, Tim. I'm not gonna go there with you.
It's over with, man. It's over. It's over.
I said I wasn't gonna go there with you. I'm telling you something, bro. It ain't over yet. The fight's not over yet.
Based on what?
Based on that there are 15 million votes unaccountable. There are some of those. Hold up. Now let me tell you. There are some of those votes that went into the system where the only person they voted for was Donald Trump. They didn't vote for any down ballots.
What the hell are you suggesting? What the hell are you suggesting, Lewis? What are you suggesting?
That's what I'm suggesting, that there was something phony going on. And all I want to say to you, T, is this right here. Remember this. When you're the richest man in the world, there ain't nothing you can't get.
I believe that. I agree with that. He got the richest man in the world on his side.
So when he came on the scene, the whole environment around Trump changed when he came on the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when even the young boys started coming after him. I remember at one time Joe Rogan had said he was done with Trump, but then he went right back on the bandwagon as soon as Elon Musk came back on the scene. So I'm telling you now, there is something going on. I don't know if it's his satellites part of it or just his influence on other people, but something is not right. I'm telling you now, and I'm telling you something. I think actually Kamala Harris, because they have till December the 26th to actually do their investigation.
You really think there's a chance that Trump won't be president?
I think it is, though. I really do.
Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. How much? How strong is your feeling?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm gonna tell you right now. I think the Democrats lost. I think the Democrats lost it not because, and I don't think Kamala Harris did nothing with that. I think this has proven to us that this country is as racist as it's always been,
wow,
and as misogynist as it's always been.
Where's the racism? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
This country is racist, T. This country doesn't love us like we love this country. I'm telling you now, and that's coming from a 21-year, 242-day veteran. And I have put a lot of sweat and blood into this country. And I'm telling you something. This is my country. My family has been here for over 400 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the original indigenous people.
Yeah, me too. An OG. Yeah, me too.
I'm telling you, I know that I came from Western Africa on that slave ship.
What the hell?
I know that.
Somebody don't like you. Somebody don't like you. What the hell?
That's why I didn't want to go into that conversation. I told you that. I'm dropping out, Tim.
All right. Somebody actually. You look.
I'm telling you now, Tim. That's why that happened, bro. I'm telling you right now. That's why that happened.
I could talk to you because I want to know more about where you're going with this. I do want to know.
I'm telling you, man. We can't. You see what just happened, right? And we just touched the edges, bro.
We definitely didn't get too deep into it, but you sounded like Q. You sounded like Q for the liberals, though.
I know, man. But I know, and that's what I hate about it. Because I'm telling you something right now. I think we deserve this ass whipping. I don't care what you say. I think we deserved it. I'm telling you now. I'm pissed off about it, but I think we deserved it because I think when we took Biden out, as crippled as that motherfucker was, we should have let him finish up. Biden failed us because Biden should have never ran.
Yeah.
He should have never ran the second time. He should have dropped out right when he was doing it and let Kamala Harris start voting. You can't get nobody no 107 days to think they're going to put on a good campaign and convince all these mass. I know just as many misogynist black men as I know misogynist white men. And I get my hair cut right behind one of them every fucking 2 weeks in the barbershop. And this brother, he's one of the original drifters. From the group.
The group? Really? Oh. And he don't believe a woman should be president.
He don't think a woman should be nowhere in charge of a man.
Damn. That's misogyny.
I know.
Damn.
But he's a womanizer. He's all that shit. You know how them stars.
I've had a lot of you are correct though. I've had a lot of black men and women though. I've had women tell me that a woman has no place. So
me too, bro. I have nothing but fond memories of every woman who's ever been in charge of a country. We can go all the way back to just the one that was just in charge of Germany. Mexico got a woman and they love her. Yeah. Margaret Thatcher rings in my mind so hard as being a strong, fierce leader. You know what I'm saying? Africa has a lot of countries. A lot of countries in Africa have a lot of female women who have been prime ministers and leaders of those countries. It's time for America to have one. I thought it should have been Hillary. But my thing is that but I definitely think it should have been, because Hillary put on.
But what about Kamala? Do you think? But let's talk about Kamala. You think Kamala was experienced? I get the woman thing, but do you think she actually had what it took to do the job? You think she had the right experience? You think?
Absolutely did. I mean, that woman has been in every aspect of the game: the judicial, the legislator. She's been she's been the vice president. There's nobody with a better resume to where you can't say she deserves a chance.
All right.
And what other person you know has been at every level?
That's a good point. But she didn't know how to speak to the people. I mean, well, let me just say this. Let me reverse that. I will just say this. Okay, hold on. I will just say, hold on, hang on. Here, the problem isn't. Let me strike what I just said. The problem is she only had 107 days. So I think that with the 107 days. Because she would have done far more interviews. She probably would have improved how she reacted or interacted with people. You only got 107 days. You can only do so much.
And not only that, when you're going up against a person who's been campaigning for 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump's been campaigning for 10 years.
Yeah.
That mother was in the White House campaigning. You know what I'm saying? He was already the president. He was campaigning. 2 weeks after he left there, he had his first rally. Come on, man. Let's just be for real. He's been campaigning for 10 years.
Think she'll be back in 2028?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I got to go, Lewis. I got to go.
Absolutely not.
Appreciate
I don't want her to be. I'm telling you, I don't want her to be. I'm looking at Shapiro Gavin myself. That's just me.
You want a white man. Ain't nothing better than a white man to get the job done, huh?
You now, I don't give a shit what they say. I mean, I love Cory Booker. I love what's his name? Akeem, all them guys. But they don't stand a chance in this country that we live in, bro. I'm telling you right now. They gave one of us a chance. And he did such a good job. If he'd have been a fuck up, we'd get another one in there. But he did such a, you know what I'm saying? They like to see us fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
If he'd have went in there making baby mamas and
well, Trump did that. Trump is the one with all the baby mamas. Trump got felonies, baby mamas, mugshots. He's selling gym shoes, and they love his ass.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. If Obama would have been like that, he might have got a third term too.
Oh my God!
I'll tell you something. It's gonna be hell paid for us to get him out of there when he gets in there. He ain't leaving. He ain't going off into that silent good night.
Well, he can't be father time. Can't be. He be like Mike Tyson out there. He can't be father time.
I think they're gonna 25th him way before that. And I think J.D. Vance become the president. I think he's gonna get 25th Amendment, and J.D. Vance is going to be, because this is all something being done by the Heritage Foundation. And I'm telling you something, he's going to get 25th. And I still think that Elon Musk is running things, but I think Vance will end up, I think Trump will get 25th. I think Trump will get 25th. I really do.
I got to go, but you are an interesting conversation in yourself. You are Q, by the way, for the Democrats. I got to go, though.
I agree.
All right, Lewis. All right.
I'll tell you this right now. I listen to all you guys. I don't get my news from mainstream, because I'm gonna tell you something. I used to like MSNBC to what I definitely like Morning Joe.
Today when it met with Trump.
Oh my God, man, that killed me, man. I'm not watching that shit no more.
I gotta go. All right, appreciate it. I gotta go. Right. And I will say this: after they went, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough are going to meet with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, Trump went on social media after they met with him and just tore them apart. Talked about how they begged to see him and how he should have not let him go, and they owe their whole careers to him. They didn't, based on what I've seen, it didn't help them out one bit at all. Because folks often say, give Trump a chance. He's for unity. Instead of bashing him and not giving him a chance from day one. They tried to do that once he won. Now, they don't call the guy Hitler and all kinds of shit in the past, but apparently now that he's won, they tried to reach out to the guy, and he trashed the shit out of them. So it didn't help them out at all going down to Mar-a-Lago and reaching out to Trump. Nobody on the right was like, hey, look, they look cool. No, the folks on the right seen them as kiss asses with their tail between their legs, begging to kiss the ring. And the folks on the left kind of saw him the same way. That didn't help them out at all. As my last caller suggested, and many others have suggested, they've turned the program off after seeing them do that. That was not a good thing for those two to go down there and meet with Trump. Now, they used to be friends with Trump before he became president. Remember when Trump suggested that Mika had cosmetic surgery and she came to him bleeding and all? Yeah, they used to be friends before all of this, but it didn't help them out at all going down there and meeting with Trump. That was a bad idea. My guess is you ain't gonna see too many liberals following in their path after Trump trashed them for doing that. Real quick, I do want to respond to a few super chats here. What do you think of Matt Gaetz? What do you think of Matt Gaetz' withdrawal? I think it was good from all sides. And this came from Will G. Plenty of people on the right didn't favor Matt Gaetz either because of what he did in Congress with McCarthy. So, and the left obviously has no love for Matt Gaetz as well. It would have probably been the worst thing you've seen since the Kavanaugh hearings trying to get him approved. The fact that Trump even appointed him is questionable in my opinion. Once you know that this guy got a investigation like that out there, and you're well, maybe not in Trump's case because Trump is the same way. Both of these men, Trump and Matt Gaetz, have indictments, and where Matt Gaetz wasn't an indictment, it was just an investigation. But both Trump and Matt Gaetz have accusations against them suggesting they've committed some kind of major felony. And as opposed to trying to fight to prove their innocence, They're fighting so you don't know what's in the investigation. Both Trump and Matt Gaetz are doing that. Trump's cases are going to disappear. He's not going to go and prove that he's innocent and it was bullshit or a witch hunt. He's going to have the people that are running the cases fired and you'll never know what was in them. That's what Matt Gaetz was doing. By leaving Congress, they're fighting so that the investigation never materializes. So you'll never know what was in it. That's kind of what's going to happen with Trump, is that you'll never really know the entire scope of what they had against him. The goal is to kind of sweep it under the rug. That's different than proving you're innocent. What did I say yesterday? Nothing sexier than a hard-working woman and still plays her role to support our culture, to support and nurture, rather. To support and nurture a woman's touch is heavenly. I do favor some of that. I do believe that women are better at nurturing than men. I do believe that in terms of conflict, unlike what Gen X and some of the other folks, or DJ Julio, I think said it. I believe that if you had more women leaders, I think there would be less wars. I don't think there would be more. I think women would be better at talking and things like that. I believe there would be less wars. That's my opinion. I could be wrong like many others have, but I believe there would be less. Real quick in the comments, Trump don't even want Elon. He wants his money. Some drama's about to happen. I will, but before I continue on, I have said that. Now, MAGA is very happy they've won by quite a bit, beat Kamala Harris and the liberals. But remember, Trump's main problem the first time was he made some bad appointments and people were not loyal to him. That was a lot of the complaints he made, is that he made some bad appointments. I want to submit to you, I believe he's doing that again to some degree. Matt Gaetz is an obvious example now, but I'm not even talking about Matt Gaetz. I brought up RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. Both of those two people, RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, not long ago were running to be the Democratic president of the United States. Once they did not get what they wanted from the Democratic Party, they defected on the Democrats, went to the other side and trashed the party they came from. With them having that on their resume, why would Trump not think it's possible they may do that to him? They both defected from their parties that they were running to be the leader of, RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi's all over Fox News, trashing the Democratic Party and all of that. I would probably be real skeptical of putting somebody that's defected on their own party like that up on my administration after what Trump went through with folks on his first administration. I don't think they're really good picks. I know RFK came with a lot of independent voters, so Trump favored that, but I don't know. To me, you'd have been better off appointing Tim Scott. Tim Scott doesn't have a record of defecting like that, unless you want to count Nikki Haley. I think that Trump may be making some bad appointments from that standpoint. Matt Gaetz would have probably been loyal, but he's going to bring in all of the sexual assault claims that is on him. Real quick, in regards to Elon Musk, some folks are saying Elon Musk may be guiding Trump. It seems like Joe and his wife didn't even want to go. It seemed like a stunt. They should have not did it. I don't think Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski should have ever went to Mar-a-Lago. Elon Musk, though, he is a very intelligent man. He could have some ulterior motives to Trump. Remember, he's not even an American. Remember how much we didn't like Obama because he was born in Kenya? Well, this guy actually has a birth certificate from somewhere else. Let me go back to the box. All of a sudden, he shows up. Trump's whole stance on electric cars changes and shit like that. Just because Elon Musk showed up throwing money around, Trump's whole stance on that changed. I don't, like I said, we'll see what happens, but I do believe there's a possibility Trump could be making some bad appointments there. I do want to look in the comments here on TikTok. By the way, folks, tap the screen. We should have been around 100,000. You guys can make that happen. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Millions of voters, Democrats have defected away. A lot of voters left the Democratic Party. I'm not arguing with that. The Democrats did not do good this go-round. I'm not going to argue with that. You need a lot of women in Virginia, genetic diversity, and second generation. Did you not think of her? Think that far. What are you talking about? You need a lot of women in Virginia, genetic diversity. Huh? And the second generation did not think that far. understand what you're saying. Another TV personality goes into the White House. Yeah, Trump is really good with promoting celebrities. He's really good with that. Handsome, the Dems made their bed. Now sleep in it, says Dan. No other choice. You're right. That's what's got to happen. The Democratic Party did not. Well, to me, Biden not stepping down is the biggest problem. If Biden had to step down and only ran for one term, I don't know if the outcome would have been the same, because the Democrats would have been able to vote in a candidate. It probably would not have been Kamala Harris, and they would have had at least a year to run. That's a lot of advantages that they didn't have with Kamala Harris only having 107 days. So I don't know if that's just the Democrats making their bed, just bad decisions. Biden led the way with that bad decision, not stepping down until after showing his ass at the June 27th debate. The conversation is so interesting, we be forgetting to tap the screen. Yeah, I can't get 100,000 out of this crowd. Hell yeah, we try to deliver decent content. I can't get 100,000. You know how it is, folks. Anyhow, I do appreciate the 89,000 likes. I tried to bring up another guest, but the box that's frozen. Nevertheless, I do appreciate the 89,000 likes. You know how we do the program. We don't block, ban, or censor. So if you favor that type of programming, feel free to follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. We're here Monday through Friday. Real quick before we do move on, Harris is overqualified. Talking about Kamala Harris. Harris is overqualified, especially compared to all the clowns Trump is trying to appoint. And Trump himself, so you're saying that Kamala Harris is overqualified even compared to Trump. But people cannot see past the melanated skin, MAGA are and always will be hypocrites. There are some facts to that, but I will say, I don't think Kamala Harris's biggest problem was her being black. I think it was her being a woman. I think there were far more people that opted out of voting for Kamala Harris because of her gender as opposed to her race. A lot, even black people. I've talked to even people of color that do not believe a woman should have that position. Yeah, racism, there are some people that ain't gonna vote for a black person. Even when Obama won twice, there are people that did not vote for him because he was black. That's the whole born in Kenya shit. A lot of that came up. But I do believe it hurt her more being a woman than it did being a person of color. And you talk to folks on the right, I don't know what the hell she is. Is she black? Is she Jamaican? Is she Indian? People on the right just tried to give her all sorts of weird ass labels, just like they did with Obama when he ran for president. He wasn't black, he was Kenyan or whatever the hell they were coming up with. That's one of the issues when you run for the president of this country as a person of color. People start just otherizing the hell out of you. Obama suddenly became a Muslim, even though they're in his church with Reverend Wright, saying that the guy is unpatriotic. If he's a Muslim, then why the hell are you sitting in a Baptist church accusing him of what that pastor said? Is he Muslim or is he Baptist? Pick and choose which one. Sean Hannity had a whole crew sitting in his church on the south side of Chicago, recording his sermons and then trashing them for those statements on Fox News. Remember the whole chickens coming home to roost? But then he's a Muslim when you want to use his last name against him. And it wasn't just Obama or Kamala Harris. Remember Nikki Haley? When she ran, she suddenly became Nimrata. And Vivek Ramaswamy also started getting some of it. Running as a person of color is going to come with its challenges. People do not want a person of color in that position. Because like I said, even on the right, Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, when they ran for the nation's highest office, they started getting some of it too. I don't care how much you've been supporting Republican causes. We didn't expect you to try to go that fucking far, and then started having trouble. MAGA singing like a prayer in churches. God. She didn't even try to separate herself from her own incumbency, nor could she. And Ken Fit, yeah, I know. When she got on The View and they asked her what would she do different from the Biden administration, and she had no answer. It's shit like that. But I will say, if she had a real campaign length of time as opposed to 107 days, there would have been time to correct shit. like locker room talk from saying grab him to, there's time to correct shit when you got all this damn time. You only got 107 days. You don't have a lot of time to correct stuff. The whole I wouldn't do anything different from Biden would have been one thing she said on The View. And then by the time she became president, there would have probably been 6 or 7 other interviews where she corrected that. But that's what happens when you got more than 107 days. You got time to do all of that. She didn't have enough time. That is on Biden, if you ask me. She stood by Biden. It was the right thing to do. I'm not down with all that captain goes down with the ship type shit. If you're trying to run for the nation's highest office, your job is to look out for the people, not your predecessor. She could say, I think Biden did a good job. However, here are the areas I would differ from him on. Nobody expects any vice president to be a mirror of the president. You're not even expected to be a mirror of your spouse. You can have things you differ on. You don't have to agree with every damn thing anybody does. She should have had an answer for that. She should have been expected to. I mean, because they asked Vivek Ramaswamy if he was president when he was running, what would he do differently from Trump? Because he was riding Trump's coattails, and even he had an answer. It wasn't a great answer, but even he had an answer of some shit. He didn't say I wouldn't do nothing different. Even Vivek, who was nothing but defended Trump the whole time, was prepared with an answer. They asked him that during that debate when those other 9 candidates, Ron DeSantis and all of them were running. They asked him, what would you do different from Trump? And he had an answer for that. Kamala Harris should have had an answer for that. That's poor preparation that she didn't have an answer for something that should have been expected. Real quick, the women in Ukraine disagree. Okay, I don't know where that's coming from. Apparently some YouTube has stopped on that side. Anyhow, I do appreciate the fact that you guys got me pretty damn close to 100,000. Somebody tapped the screen. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Trump had no logical answers to shit. Well, Trump had undying loyalty on his side. Kamala Harris didn't have that. So you unfortunately, you don't always get the cards you want. You got to play with the hand you're dealt. And she's dealt a hand that puts her at a disadvantage to Trump. I mean, Trump's side is going to overlook anything he says. You don't have that advantage. So you got to make sure what you say matters. It's not fair by any stretch of the imagination, but that is the cards she was dealt. Trump's people, no matter what he says, they're going to come up with a reason why it wasn't that bad, not that harmful. It was comical. It was a joke, took it out of context, et cetera, et cetera. Kamala Harris is not going to get that benefit. It's just the way it is. Anyhow, I do appreciate it. As always, 101,000. You guys got your boy there. I got to step away. It is my dinner time, Monday through Friday. Subscribe to the damn channel on YouTube. Follow the program on TikTok. I will see you tomorrow night. All right, and the same thing with you folks on YouTube, horizontal and YouTube live. I appreciate the support. Will G and some of you folks on YouTube horizontal, because I've been debating about whether I want to keep horizontal versus vertical. But you guys showed your boy some love tonight. Kind of gave me an answer to that. Thank you sincerely. I will see you folks tomorrow. Y'all take care. Vote properly next time. You won't be in this mess. Gotta go. Thank you.